The mud hit her face before the pain registered. Gravel tore skin. Breath exploded from her lungs. Staff Sergeant Kyle Brennan's laughter echoed across the Arizona training yard, crude and certain, celebrating what he thought was victory. A civilian contractor put in her place, a woman reminded she didn't belong in a warrior's world. He was wrong. Lieutenant Junior Grade Maya Richardson stayed down for exactly 5 seconds. Not because she couldn't rise, because she was counting. Counting violations, counting witnesses, counting the ways this moment would end careers. Before we continue, please subscribe to our channel and stay with this story until the very end. Comment below with your city so I can see how far Maya's story travels across the world. The mud tasted like iron and humiliation, except Maya Richardson didn't do humiliation. She did tactical assessment while her cheek pressed against Arizona gravel, mixing with rainwater from the morning storm that turned Sentinel Defense Academy's obstacle course into a proving ground nobody planned. 5 seconds down. Her internal clock measured time the way it had through 12 combat missions, precise, clinical, divorced from the adrenaline screaming through her veins. 5, 4, 3. Brennan's voice cut through the afternoon air, addressing the 40 cadets standing in formation 20 yards away. This is what happens when civilians wander into restricted areas. This is what happens when people who don't belong try to play soldier. 2, 1. Maya rose, not quickly, deliberately. The way a SEAL surfaces from deep water, controlled, efficient, already calculating the next move before the current one finishes. Mud streaked her face like war paint applied by enemy hands. Blood mixed with dirt on palms torn by gravel. Her contractor uniform, carefully chosen to carry no rank, no insignia, no hint of the truth, soaked dark across one knee and shoulder. She stood, back straight, shoulders level, feet planted shoulder-width apart with the kind of balance that doesn't come from weekend warrior training or gym memberships. The kind that comes from carrying wounded teammates across hostile ground in Aleppo, from holding sniper positions for 14 hours without moving in the Hindu Kush, from surviving things these boys couldn't imagine in their safest nightmares. Brennan stopped mid-sentence. Something in her stance made the words die in his throat. Maya didn't speak, just looked at him. Her eyes had seen 19 men die through a rifle scope in Syria. Eyes that calculated wind, drift, and bullet drop while mortars fell close enough to taste cordite. Eyes that belonged to a ghost he just summoned without knowing her name. The silence stretched, thinned, became something sharp enough to cut. "You got something to say, lady?" Brennan recovered his bravado, stepped closer. 6'2", 220 former Marine Raider who washed out of special operations for reasons his file didn't specify, but Maya had memorized. "Or you gonna stand there looking stupid?" Maya's voice came quiet, controlled, each word measured like ammunition rationed in hostile territory. "I'm going to document this interaction in my contractor report. Then I'm going to continue my work. Then you're going to wish you'd made different choices today." Laughter erupted from the 3 men flanking Brennan: David Torres, Marcus Flynn, Jason Wright, all former Raiders, all washed out, all carrying the kind of resentment that curdles into cruelty when authority meets insecurity. Torres stepped forward, grinning. "Contractor reports, sweetheart. Contractors don't file reports on instructors. Contractors do what they're told and keep their mouths shut." "Then I guess I'm not that kind of contractor." Maya turned to walk away. Brennan's hand shot out, grabbed her shoulder, spun her back around. "We're not done here." The physical contact changed everything. Maya's muscle memory activated SEAL training, overriding civilian cover combat instincts rising like floodwater. Her hand moved to break the grip, stopped halfway, because revealing what she could do would expose who she was, and the mission required staying hidden. So she let him hold her shoulder, let him feel powerful, let him make the mistake of thinking grip strength equaled dominance. "Take your hand off me." Still quiet, still controlled, but something underneath now. Something that made Flynn take a half step back without knowing why. Brennan squeezed harder. "Or what? Or I'll remember this moment very specifically when I write my report. Time, location, witnesses, the exact pressure of your fingers, the smell of alcohol on your breath at 1400 hours. Everything. He released her like she'd burned him. Maya walked away. 40 cadets watched. 38 said nothing. 2 she'd learned their names later, looked at each other with recognition in their eyes. Recognition that maybe, just maybe, they'd witnessed something that mattered. 3 days earlier, Maya had sat across a desk from Captain Sarah Morrison at Naval Special Warfare Command headquarters in Virginia Beach. The office overlooked the Atlantic gray waves rolling eternal against a shore that trained ghosts. Morrison slid a folder across polished wood. Thin. Classified. 4 names inside with photographs attached. Cadet Jessica Martinez. Quit month 2. Cited hostile training environment. Complaint filed, dismissed as failure to adapt. Maya studied the photo. 19 years old. Determined eyes in the intake picture. Something broken in the exit interview image taken 60 days later. Cadet Jennifer Walsh. Quit month 4. Reported physical intimidation. Investigating officer concluded insufficient evidence. Another photo. Another transformation from hope to defeat. Cadet Rachel Kim. Quit month 5. Sexual harassment documented in writing. Chain of command determined she was too sensitive for military service. The third face. The same progression. Cadet Sophia Chen. Currently enrolled. Month 6. Showing stress markers identical to the previous 3. Fourth photograph. Maya saw herself at 19 in those eyes. Saw every woman who'd been told she didn't belong, wasn't strong enough, couldn't hack it in a man's world. Morrison's voice hardened. Someone inside Sentinel Defense Academy sent an anonymous email to Nav Spec War. Subject line, just like Tailhook 91. Maya's jaw tightened. Tailhook. The Navy's shame. The convention where female aviators were assaulted while officers looked away. The institutional rot that took decades to excise and left scars still visible if you knew where to look. Only insiders know Tailhook, Maya said. Specific insiders. Someone with military history knowledge. Someone screaming for help in code. Morrison leaned forward. Someone who understands certain sins repeat until someone stops them. What's the mission? Go undercover. Civilian contractor doing equipment inspections and maintenance protocols. Document the culture. Find the rot. Report findings. Morrison paused. Standard covert investigation except for one detail. Maya waited. If your cover is blown, you're alone. No extraction. No cavalry. We can't acknowledge Nav Spec War involvement until investigation concludes. You'll be completely isolated. Alone is familiar territory, ma'am. I know it is. That's why you're going. Morrison stood, extended her hand. Chief Ramirez would be proud. Senior Chief Petty Officer James Hawk Ramirez. Maya's Bud's instructor. The man who'd stood in the surf zone while she shivered hard enough to crack teeth and said 2 words that built her career, show them. Dead 18 months. Afghanistan. Covering a team's extract when he should have boarded the helicopter first. Senior man. Most experienced. Should have survived. But Hawk always last one out, always making sure everyone else made it home. He didn't that time. Maya took the folder, saluted, turned to leave. Morrison's voice stopped her at the door. Lieutenant, these girls who quit, they did nothing wrong. The system failed them. Don't let it fail another one. Maya looked back. It won't, ma'am. Promise made. Promise kept. Now standing in her contractor quarters at Sentinel Academy, after being thrown in mud and grabbed by an instructor who didn't know he'd just assaulted a Navy SEAL, Maya encrypted her first field report. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with precision born from typing situation reports under fire when every second mattered and clarity meant survival. Field Report 001, Investigator LTJG M. Richardson, Cover Civilian Contractor, M. Ross. Day 3, 14:25 hours. Incident. Physical assault by Staff Sergeant Kyle Brennan. Pushed into obstacle course mud pit. Grabbed shoulder when attempting to leave. Alcohol detected on breath during duty hours. Witnesses, 40 cadets in formation, 3 additional instructors present. Torres Flynn Wright, Participated through encouragement and verbal harassment. Assessment. Brennan demonstrates pattern consistent with abuse of authority. Comfortable with physical contact escalation. Confident no consequences will follow. Suggests institutional tolerance of misconduct. Priority concern. 2 female cadets in formation showed recognition response to incident. Possible previous victims. Recommend immediate identification and contact. Next steps. Maintain cover. Document all interactions. Establish rapport with at-risk cadets without compromising investigation. She hit send. The encrypted message bounced through 3 servers before landing in Morrison's classified inbox. A knock on her door interrupted the silence. Maya's hand moved instinctively toward where her sidearm would be if she were in uniform. Found nothing. Because contractors don't carry weapons. Because she was alone here with no backup and no defense except the skills they couldn't see. Who is it? Sophia Chen. Young voice, nervous. Can I talk to you? Maya opened the door. The girl from the formation stood in the hallway, 19 years old, with bruises on her forearms that fresh sleeves didn't quite hide. You shouldn't be here, Maya said. Fraternization between contractors and cadets. I know the rules. Sophia's voice carried steel underneath the fear. I also know what I saw today. The way you stood up. The way you talked to Brennan. The way you didn't flinch when he grabbed you. Maya stayed silent. Let the girl talk. You're not just a contractor. Not a question, a statement. Contractors don't move like you moved. Don't stand like you stood. Don't have eyes like yours. I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do. Sophia stepped closer, lowered her voice. I need help. The 3 girls who quit before me, Jessica, Jennifer, Rachel, they didn't fail. They were broken, systematically, deliberately, and it's happening to me now. Maya's tactical brain screamed warnings, compromising cover, breaking protocol, endangering the investigation. But her human heart, the part that remembered being 19 and terrified and alone, overrode procedure. Come inside, quickly. Sophia entered. Maya closed the door, checked the hallway, drew the blinds. Tell me everything. Start from the beginning. Leave nothing out. The girl's story came out in fragments. Pieces of a nightmare that gained coherence as she spoke. 6 months ago, Sophia arrived at Sentinel Academy with perfect scores, stellar recommendations, a future bright enough to hurt looking at directly. Within 2 weeks, the harassment started. Small things first. Comments about her appearance. Questions about whether she could handle real training. Jokes about female weakness that weren't quite jokes. Then escalation. Training exercises where male instructors accidentally positioned themselves too close. Equipment that mysteriously malfunctioned only when she used it. Performance evaluations that contradicted observable reality. She'd ace an obstacle course, receive a failing grade appeal, with witnesses get told her perspective didn't align with instructor assessment. Brennan was the worst, Sophia said, but he's not alone. Torres, Flynn, Wright, they work together, like a pack. They target one girl at a time, isolate her, destroy her confidence, make her doubt everything. Then they fabricate reasons for her to quit. Why haven't you reported this? Sophia laughed. Bitter sound. Too old for 19. I did. Week 4. Filed formal complaint with Colonel Hayes. He called me into his office, listened for exactly 4 minutes, then told me military training wasn't designed for comfort. Said if I couldn't handle stress, I should consider civilian career paths. Dismissed my complaint as failure to adapt to military culture. Maya's hands clenched. She forced them to relax. The other 3 girls, did they report too? All of them. Same result, same speech, same dismissal. Sophia pulled up her sleeve, revealed bruises in the shape of fingers. This happened 2 days ago, during hand-to-hand combat training. Brennan grabbed me, threw me harder than necessary. When I got up, he did it again. Said I needed to learn to take a hit. 3rd time I stayed down because I couldn't breathe right. He told the class I was weak. Made everyone do extra exercises because I couldn't handle basic training. The bruises were 4 days old minimum. Purple, fading to yellow at the edges. Sophia had lied about timing, probably from habit of hiding abuse. I have evidence, Sophia continued. Photos, recordings, journal entries. Everything the regulations say to document. But it doesn't matter, because the people I'm supposed to report to are either involved or don't care. She reached into her jacket, pulled out a small notebook, hands shaking. This is everything. Names, dates, incidents, witnesses. I've been keeping records since week 2 because Jessica, the first girl who quit, she found me before she left. Gave me her journal. Told me to document everything because someday someone would care. Someone would listen. Maya took the notebook, flipped through pages filled with neat handwriting recording systematic abuse, dates, times, locations, names, a chronicle of institutional failure written by a 19-year-old who believed justice existed somewhere if she could just find it. Why are you showing me this? Sophia met her eyes. Because you're not a contractor. I don't know what you are, but you're something else. Something that scares Brennan. I saw it in his face when you stood up. He's scared of you, and men like him don't scare easily. Maya made a decision. Against protocol. Against orders. Against every rule of undercover investigation. But in alignment with every principle that made her a SEAL. I can't tell you who I am. I can't tell you why I'm here. But I can tell you this, you're right to document everything. You're right to trust that someone will care. And you're right that this ends now. How? By you staying in the fight. By you not quitting. By you being stronger than they expect and more stubborn than they can imagine. Maya handed back the notebook. Keep recording, keep documenting, but also keep training. Excel. Dominate every test. Give them nothing to use against you except their own prejudice. Can you do that? Sophia's jaw set. I've been doing it for 6 months. Then do it for 6 more, and trust that help is coming. You're the help, aren't you? Maya didn't answer. Couldn't answer. But something in her silence communicated more than words. Sophia stood, moved toward the door, turned back. My sister's in the Marines. Says there's a female SEAL now. First one ever. She's 23, made it through BUDS 18 months ago. Everyone thought it was propaganda until photos leaked. They call her Ghost. Maya's expression didn't change. Why are you telling me this? Because my sister said Ghost has these eyes, like she's seen things nobody should see. Like she's survived things that should have killed her. Like she's carrying every woman who came before and every woman who'll come after. Sophia paused at the door. You have those eyes. She left before Maya could respond. That night, Maya ran perimeter security checks she didn't need to run using contractor protocols to map academy grounds, while her SEAL training cataloged tactical data. Guard rotations, camera placements, blind spots, escape routes, entry points, always have an exit strategy. Hawk's voice in her memory. Plan for compromise before it happens. The academy sprawled across 1,200 acres of Arizona desert barracks, training facilities, obstacle courses, firing ranges, administrative buildings arranged in military precision. 400 cadets, 73 instructors, 37 civilian contractors, 1 undercover SEAL. Maya's path took her past the women's barracks. Second-floor window showed Sophia at a desk, writing in that notebook, documenting abuse, while surrounded by institution that enabled it. Something moved in Maya's peripheral vision. She dropped into shadow contractor cover, falling away, as SEAL training took over. Movement analysis. Threat assessment. 3 men. Instructors based on silhouettes. Moving toward women's barracks. 0 to 15 hours. No legitimate reason for male instructors near female quarters at this hour. Maya followed, silent, invisible. Skills honed in Syria, where detection meant death. The men stopped beneath Sophia's window. Brennan's voice carried across night air. She talked to that contractor today. Saw them through the office window. Torres responded. So contractor probably told her to toughen up like everyone else. No. Brennan's tone carried certainty. Something's wrong. The way that woman looked at me today, nobody looks at me like that. Nobody stands up like that. And Chen going to her right after, that's not coincidence. Flynn spoke next. You think the contractor's investigating? I think we need to make Chen quit. Now. Before she talks to anyone else. Before this becomes a problem. Wright's voice quieter than the others. How? Same way we made the others quit. Escalate training stress. Document false performance failures. Create hostile environment. Break her down until she leaves. Brennan paused. But faster this time. We don't have months. We have days. And the contractor? We encourage her to finish her inspection and leave. Make it clear she's not welcome. Make it uncomfortable. Make it dangerous if necessary. Maya's hand curled into a fist. Every instinct screamed to step from shadows, announce herself, end this. But investigation required evidence. Evidence required patience. Patience required watching girls suffer while building airtight cases. The cost of doing things right sometimes meant letting things stay wrong too long. The men dispersed. Maya remained in shadow, memorizing every word, documenting every detail in memory, trained to retain mission-critical intelligence under stress. She returned to her quarters, encrypted another report, sent it to Morrison. Then she did something off books, something not authorized, something that would get her court-martialed if discovered. She pulled out a burner phone civilian device, untraceable, purchased before deployment for exactly this scenario. Dialed a number she'd memorized. 3 rings. Click. Ramirez. Female voice. Lieutenant Jessica Martinez. First cadet who quit. This is a friend. I'm at Sentinel Academy. I need to know everything that happened to you. Everything they did. Everything you documented. Everything you couldn't prove. Silence on the line. Then, who is this? Someone who's going to make sure what happened to you doesn't happen to anyone else. Someone who's going to burn down the system that broke you. Someone who needs your help to do it right. Another pause. They'll destroy you like they destroyed me. They'll try. You don't understand. Brennan, he's connected. Torres, Flynn, Wright, they have protection. Colonel Hayes covers for them. The whole chain of command. I understand better than you think, but I need your testimony, your evidence, your willingness to come back and testify when the time comes. Can you do that? Why should I trust you? Because I'm still there when everyone else left. Because I took the same mud you took and stood back up. Because I'm not going anywhere until this is finished. Maya heard something break in Jessica's voice. Relief mixed with pain. I kept everything. Photos, recordings, medical records, emails, text messages, all of it. I didn't know what else to do with it after they dismissed my complaint. Send it to this number. Encrypted. Tonight. Then be ready to testify. Testify to who? The same command that ignored me before. To people who don't ignore anything. To people who end careers and file criminal charges. To people who make sure institutional rot doesn't hide behind rank and protocol. Who are you? Maya almost told her. Almost broke every rule of operational security to give this broken girl hope. But hope built on lies crumbles fast. I'm someone who keeps promises. And I promise you this ends. She hung up, made 2 more calls. Jennifer Walsh, Rachel Kim. Same conversation. Same request. Same promise. By 0300 hours, Maya had testimony from 3 women, documented evidence spanning 18 months, and a conspiracy that went deeper than anyone suspected. She also had a target on her back. Brennan knew something was wrong. His survival instincts, honed through Raider training before whatever weakness got him, kicked out sensed threat, which made him dangerous. Cornered predators fight hardest when escape routes close. Maya lay in her bunk staring at ceiling, calculating next moves. In Syria, they'd called her Ghost because she moved through hostile territory, invisible until the moment she pulled the trigger. 19 confirmed kills across 6 months of deployment. 19 men who never saw her coming. But this wasn't Syria. These weren't enemy combatants. This was institutional corruption, political protection, systemic abuse, hiding behind chain of command, and military tradition. You can't snipe culture, can't eliminate prejudice with precision fire. This required different weapons, documentation, testimony, patience, law, harder than combat, slower than battle. More dangerous because the enemy wore friendly uniforms and hid behind regulations designed to protect them. Her phone buzzed. Encrypted message from Morrison. Received field report, 001. Proceed with caution. Brennan's file shows previous harassment complaints dismissed, connected to Senator Brennan, Arizona. Political protection likely. Require ironclad evidence before exposure. Do not compromise cover unless immediate threat to life. Maya read between lines. She was alone. Would stay alone. Could expect no help until she delivered airtight case capable of withstanding political pressure and institutional resistance. Standard SEAL mission parameters. Operate independently. Complete objective. Extract when mission succeeds. She'd survived worse odds. She closed her eyes, controlled. Her breathing slowed her heart rate through techniques learned in Hell Week, when Pacific cold made hypothermia real, and quitting seemed logical. 4 counts in. Hold 4. 4 counts out. Hold 4. The rhythm that steadies the heart before the trigger squeeze, before the breach, before the violence that competence makes look easy. Tomorrow, Brennan would escalate against Sophia. Tomorrow, they'd make Maya's life harder. Tomorrow, the institution would test whether she'd break before they did. But Maya Richardson didn't break. She was forged in Coronado surf zones, tempered in Syrian combat, refined through 18 months of proving women belonged in places men said they couldn't go. She was Ghost. And ghosts don't break. They haunt until justice finds its mark. Morning came early at Sentinel Academy. 0500 formation. 400 cadets standing in Arizona dawn while instructors called cadence and reminded everyone that comfort was enemy of excellence. Maya watched from her contractor position near the equipment shed, supposedly doing inventory, but actually documenting behavior patterns. Brennan ran the formation. His voice carried across parade ground, sharp with authority that came from rank instead of respect. Today we separate warriors from pretenders. Today we discover who belongs and who's wasting our time. Today we find out who's tough enough to serve and who's too weak to hack it. His eyes found Sophia in formation, held there, predator marking prey. Cadet Chen, front and center. Sophia's face went pale. She stepped forward, stood at attention 10 feet from Brennan. Cadet Chen has been showing concerning performance indicators. Failure to meet physical standards. Inability to handle training stress. Weakness unbefitting a military professional. Maya's jaw clenched. Every word was a lie. Sophia's performance records showed excellence. But lies spoken with authority become truth if nobody challenges them. Today, Cadet Chen will demonstrate whether she deserves to continue training. She will complete the obstacle course. Full combat load, under time, or she will be recommended for dismissal. 40 pounds of equipment, 12 obstacles, 6 minutes maximum. Standard requirement except for one detail: Sophia had completed this course in 4 minutes 40 seconds 2 weeks ago. Brennan was setting her up to fail by changing standards without notice. One more thing, Brennan smiled. Since Cadet Chen seems to prefer talking to contractors over focusing on training our civilian equipment, Specialist will accompany her through the course to observe proper technique. Every head turned toward Maya. This was the play. Force Maya to participate in Sophia's humiliation. Make her complicit, or refuse and blow contractor cover. Maya walked forward, slow, controlled, meeting Brennan's eyes with expression that gave nothing away. I'm not qualified to observe military training exercises. You're qualified to follow orders. Or is that too difficult for civilian understanding? My contract specifies equipment inspection and maintenance protocols, not cadet evaluation. Your contract specifies compliance with academy requirements. I'm requiring your presence. Refuse and we'll discuss contract violations with Colonel Hayes. Checkmate. Refuse and lose access. Comply and enable abuse. The kind of choice that has no right answer. Maya chose forward. What do you need me to observe? Brennan's smile widened. Proper technique, safety protocols, whether Cadet Chen meets minimum standards. He handed Maya a clipboard. Document everything, times, performance, failures. I want comprehensive evaluation. Maya took the clipboard, looked at Sophia. Saw fear barely controlled. Saw determination fighting panic. Saw herself at 19 facing instructors who wanted her to quit and would engineer failure to make it happen. She gave Sophia the smallest nod. 1 degree of movement. But Sophia saw it, understood it. You're not alone. The course began. Sophia attacked obstacles with controlled aggression. Rope climb executed with textbook efficiency. Wall breach completed with economy of motion. Balance beam traversed with focus that ignored spectators. Each obstacle dominated with skill that made Brennan's accusations obvious lies. But Maya documented truth. Every timestamp, every technique, every example of excellence being called failure by men invested in maintaining their prejudice. 4 minutes, 23 seconds. Sophia crossed the finish line under combat load faster than required, proving capability nobody should have questioned. Brennan studied the clipboard. 5 minutes, 47 seconds. Failure to meet standards. Maya's pen stopped moving. That's incorrect. 4 minutes, 23. I documented every split time. Your documentation is wrong. My documentation is accurate. 40 witnesses observed the same performance. 40 people watched Cadet Chen exceed requirements. Civilian observers aren't qualified to judge military performance. Brennan stepped closer, voice dropping to tone meant only for Maya. Maybe you need remedial training in following instructions. Maybe you need remedial training in honesty. Maya didn't step back, didn't retreat, held ground the way SEALs hold ground when retreat means death. I document what I observe. What I observed was excellence. What I observed was a cadet exceeding every standard you established. What I observed was your attempt to manufacture failure where none exists. The parade ground went silent. 400 cadets stopped breathing. 3 instructors behind Brennan tensed like violence might solve problems words created. Maya continued, I'll file my report exactly as documented. 4 minutes, 23 seconds, exceeds standards, demonstrates capability, recommends continued training. If you disagree with my assessment, take it up with my contracting company, but you won't change what happened. You won't change what everyone saw. You won't change truth into lies just because lies serve your agenda better. Brennan's hand moved toward her shoulder. Repeated the grab from yesterday. But this time, Maya was ready. This time, she didn't let it land. Her hand intercepted his wrist mid-motion. Not with force, with precision, with control that communicated capability without demonstrating full extent. Don't. 1 word. Quiet. Final. Don't touch me. Don't threaten me. Don't assume I'm something I'm not. She released his wrist, stepped back, handed him the clipboard. My report will reflect exactly what occurred. How you respond determines what happens next. Maya walked away. 40 cadets watched. Sophia watched. Brennan watched with expression transitioning from anger to calculation to something close to fear. Because men like Brennan survive through intimidation. When intimidation fails, they have no backup plan except escalation. And escalation against an unknown quantity is risk they can't assess. Maya had just become unquantifiable. The confrontation cost Maya 3 hours of relative safety. By noon, her contractor access card stopped working at the equipment warehouse. By 1400 hours, someone had entered her quarters and moved things, nothing stolen, just displaced enough to communicate a message. By 1600 hours, Colonel Hayes summoned her to his office. The walk across Academy grounds felt like crossing no man's land. Cadets watched. Instructors watched. Everyone knew something had shifted during morning formation, knew the civilian contractor had challenged Brennan, publicly knew that kind of challenge didn't go unanswered in places where hierarchy mattered more than truth. Hayes sat behind a desk decorated with commendations that meant nothing if character didn't back them up. 62 years old, career officer 3. Deployments to Iraq, 0 tolerance for complications, that threatened his retirement timeline. Miss Ross. He used Maya's cover name with emphasis that suggested he knew it was fake. Staff Sergeant Brennan filed a complaint. Says you interfered with cadet evaluation, falsified training documentation, undermined instructor authority in front of formation. Maya stood at parade rest, habit from military service she wasn't supposed to have. I documented what occurred. Cadet Chen completed the obstacle course in 4 minutes 23 seconds. 40 witnesses observed the same performance. Brennan says 5 minutes 47 seconds. Brennan is lying. Hayes' expression hardened. That's a serious accusation against a decorated instructor. It's a documented fact backed by multiple witnesses and video evidence from Academy security cameras covering the obstacle course. Maya pulled out her phone, showed time-stamped photos she'd taken. Camera 3 captures the start. Camera 7 captures the finish. Timestamps don't lie even when people do. The colonel studied the photos. Something flickered across his face. Recognition that Maya had outmaneuvered his instructor followed immediately by calculation about how to contain the damage. Your contract doesn't include photographing training exercises. My contract includes documenting safety protocols and equipment performance. Cadet Chen used Academy equipment. I documented its proper function. If that documentation coincidentally proves instructor dishonesty, that's not my problem. Everything that happens on this academy is your problem if I say it is. Hayes leaned forward. Let me be clear, Miss Ross. I don't know who you are or why you're really here, but I know you're not just a contractor. Contractors don't talk like you talk. Don't move like you move. Don't challenge instructors like you challenged Brennan. Maya's expression didn't change. I'm exactly what my contract says I am. Then act like it. Do your job. Keep your head down. Stop creating problems where none exist. Problems existed before I arrived. I'm just documenting them. Those aren't problems. Those are training standards. If female cadets can't handle the pressure, they don't belong here. 3 female cadets quit in 6 months. All cited harassment. All filed complaints that were dismissed. That's not training standards. That's institutional failure. Hayes stood. This meeting is over. You have 24 hours to complete your equipment inspection and leave Academy grounds. Your contract is terminated effective immediately. On what basis? Failure to maintain professional boundaries. Interference with military training protocols. Creating hostile work environment for instructors. Maya almost laughed. Almost. I created a hostile work environment. That's your position. That's the official documentation I'll file with your contracting company. You can dispute it through proper channels, but you'll do it from off Academy property. I need 72 hours minimum to complete equipment certification requirements. Contractual obligation your Academy agreed to. 24 hours. Non-negotiable. Maya held his eyes. Saw a man protecting a system that protected him, defending instructors who made his life easier by maintaining culture that required no change, no growth, no accountability. I'll file my final report within 24 hours. Every word will be accurate. Every observation documented. Every violation noted. What you do with that information determines what happens next. She turned to leave. Miss Ross. Hayes' voice stopped her. Whatever you think you're doing here, it won't work. Brennan has connections, political protection. You're a contractor challenging the system. The system always wins. Maya looked back. Not always, sir. Sometimes the system breaks. Sometimes people inside it decide truth matters more than convenience. Sometimes one person standing up creates permission for everyone else to stop pretending everything's fine. Naive idealism from someone too young to understand how the world works. I'm 23. I've seen more of how the world works than you'd believe, and I've learned that systems protect themselves until someone makes the cost of protection higher than the cost of change. She left before he could respond. Outside his office, Sophia waited with 2 other female cadets Maya hadn't met. The 3 girls stood together like soldiers preparing for battle, which essentially they were. We heard Hayes terminated your contract, Sophia said. We heard you have 24 hours. You heard correctly. The girl to Sophia's left spoke next. I'm Cadet Emma Peterson, month 3. They're doing to me what they did to the others. Brennan, Torres, Flynn. Same pattern. Same tactics. The third girl stepped forward. Cadet Lisa Morgan, month 2. I filed harassment complaint last week. Colonel Hayes told me I was too sensitive. Maya's heart rate elevated. Not from stress, from recognition that the moment had arrived earlier than planned. The moment when staying hidden meant letting abuse continue, when perfect investigation became enemy of immediate protection. You can't be seen talking to me, Maya said. It makes you targets. We're already targets, Sophia replied. We were targets the day we arrived female. Talking to you doesn't change that. But maybe you can change what happens next. Emma pulled out her phone. I recorded Brennan during hand-to-hand training yesterday. He demonstrated a hold on me that was, she paused, choosing words carefully, inappropriate, not training, assault disguised as instruction. Lisa produced a small notebook identical to Sophia's. I've documented everything, every comment, every touch. Every time they made training harder for us than for male cadets with worse performance. 3 girls, 3 notebooks, 3 testimonies, 3 pieces of evidence that would mean nothing if chain of command refused to acknowledge them. Maya made a decision that would end her career if it went wrong, save lives if it went right. Give me everything. Photos, recordings, documentation, names of witnesses willing to testify. Give me everything right now. Why? Sophia asked. What are you going to do? Something that either fixes this or destroys me trying. But I need complete information. No gaps. No holes they can exploit to dismiss you again. The girls looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Then Sophia nodded. There's more. Something bigger than harassment. Tell me. Brennan and the others, they're selling training certifications. Cadets who fail get offered a deal. $5,000 you pass anyway. $10,000 you get honors distinction. We think at least 15 cadets bought their way through in the last year. Maya's tactical brain activated. Harassment was institutional problem. Fraud was federal crime. Federal crimes meant federal investigation. Federal investigation meant jurisdiction outside academy chain of command. Can you prove it? Emma nodded. Cadet Marcus Webb. He's male, he's disgusted by what's happening. His roommate bought certification. Marcus recorded the conversation, has text messages, has Venmo receipts. Why didn't he report? Same reason we didn't report until reports got dismissed. Who do you report to when the people who are supposed to investigate are the ones committing crimes? Lisa added. Marcus is waiting in the library. Said he'd talk to you if we vouched for you. Said something about you reminded him of his sister. She's Marine Corps. Says you move like her. The net was tightening. Too many people involved now. Too many witnesses. Too much exposure. Everything Morrison had warned against. Everything that made good intelligence work. But good intelligence work required time Maya didn't have. Required cover that was already blown. Required patience that meant 3 girls continued suffering while bureaucracy moved at bureaucratic speed. Take me to Marcus, now. Then I need access to secure internet connection and 6 hours without interruption. Why 6 hours? Because I'm about to burn down everything Brennan built, and I need ironclad documentation before the first match strikes. They moved through academy grounds like insurgents through hostile territory. Stayed in groups that looked casual, took routes that avoided camera coverage, used building shadows and crowd cover to reach the library without being observed by instructors whose radar had already identified Maya as threat. Marcus Webb sat in the library's back corner, textbooks spread in formation that suggested studying, but eyes constantly scanning for danger. 20-years-old wrestler's build face carrying stress that made him look older. You're the contractor who challenged Brennan, he said when Maya approached. I'm the contractor who documented the truth. Truth doesn't matter here. Power matters. Brennan has power. Power without accountability is tyranny, and tyranny ends when enough people refuse to accept it. Marcus studied her. My sister says there's a female SEAL. First one ever. Says she's changing everything just by existing. Says every woman in the military owes her a debt for opening doors nobody thought would open. Maya stayed silent. My sister also says Navy SEALs have this look. Like they've seen the worst humanity offers and decided to be better anyway. like they carry everyone who didn't make it home. Marcus paused. You have that look. Tell me about the certification fraud. He pulled out his phone, showed text messages between his roommate and someone listed as Coach B. The messages were explicit. Performance for payment. Failure converted to success through financial transaction. Names, amounts, dates forming pattern of corruption spanning 18 months. Why are you showing me this? Because my sister taught me that silence makes you complicit. Because I'm ashamed I stayed quiet this long. Because watching what they're doing to Sophia and Emma and Lisa, watching men I'm supposed to respect acting like predators, it's eating me alive. Maya photographed every message, every receipt, every piece of evidence. This ends your academy career if it goes public. I don't want a career built on protecting criminals. I want to serve honorably or not at all. Marcus met her eyes. Whatever you're planning, I'll testify. I'll go on record. I'll face whatever consequences come from doing the right thing. 4 cadets willing to testify. 4 notebooks of documentation, audio recordings, video evidence, financial records, text messages, the kind of comprehensive case that even corrupt chain of command couldn't dismiss. But comprehensive cases took time to build, time to verify, time to process through official channels. And Maya had 24 hours before forced departure ended her access. Her encrypted phone buzzed. Message from Morrison. Intelligence indicates Brennan aware of investigation. Possible compromise imminent. Recommend immediate extraction. Mission parameters changed. Your safety is priority. Maya read the message twice. Extraction meant leaving. Leaving meant abandoning Sophia, Emma, Lisa, Marcus. Abandoning every cadet suffering under system that would continue operating if she left without finishing what she started. She typed response. Negative on extraction. Have actionable evidence of federal crimes. Harassment plus fraud plus conspiracy. 4 cadets willing to testify. Request immediate NCIS involvement. 24 hours to compile complete case file. Morrison's response came fast. Too dangerous. Brennan's political connections extend to DOD. Exposure without airtight case means career suicide and criminal charges against you for unauthorized investigation. Understood. Proceeding anyway. Some missions matter more than careers. Maya. That's an order. Extract now. Maya turned off the phone. Marcus watched her face. Bad news. Complex news. But nothing that changes what needs to happen. She looked at Sophia, Emma, Lisa, Marcus. 4 young people who'd chosen courage over comfort, testimony over silence, truth over career safety. I need 6 hours and a secure location. Somewhere instructors don't patrol. Somewhere we can work without interruption. The equipment warehouse, Sophia said. It's scheduled for renovation, locked down. Nobody goes there after 1700 hours. Can you access it? I'm cadet supply officer. I have keys. Maya checked her watch. 1632 hours. 28 minutes until warehouse emptied. Here's what happens next. You 4 gather every piece of evidence you have. Every recording, every photo, every document, every witness name. Meet me at the warehouse at 1715. Bring laptops if you have them. Bring nothing that identifies you if we get caught. Caught doing what? Emma asked. Building the case that ends this. All of it. Brennan Hayes, the fraud, the harassment, the institutional rot, everything. How can? By documenting so thoroughly, so comprehensively, so professionally, that even political protection can't dismiss it. By creating a case file that forces action instead of requesting it. Lisa's voice shook. They'll retaliate. They'll destroy us for this. They'll try. But they'll fail because we're not doing this alone in the dark hoping someone listens. We're doing this with evidence so overwhelming that silence becomes impossible. With documentation so detailed that dismissal becomes complicity. Marcus stood. I'm in. Whatever it takes. Sophia nodded. We're all in. We've been waiting for someone to care, someone to fight back, someone to prove that standing up works. Standing up doesn't guarantee winning, Maya said. It guarantees fighting. Sometimes the fight costs everything. Then it costs everything, Emma replied. Better than living with the cost of staying silent. They dispersed. 4 cadets returning to normal routines while carrying extraordinary purpose. 4 young people who'd decided that today was the day silence ended. Maya returned to her quarters, pulled out her personal laptop, the one with military-grade encryption and access to databases that civilian contractors definitely shouldn't access. The one that connected to Naval Special Warfare Command intelligence networks through backdoor protocols she'd established before deployment. She began compiling data. Brennan's service record showing previous harassment complaints dismissed through political intervention. Torres Flynn Wright, all 3 showed similar patterns. Multiple complaints. 0 consequences. Political protection functioning as immunity. Colonel Hayes had his own file. 3 previous commands. Same pattern of female personnel attrition at every assignment. Either incredibly unlucky or deliberately ignorant. Either way, complicit. The fraud scheme traced back further than Marcus knew. 27 cadets over 2 years. Financial transactions totaling $370,000. Money flowing through offshore accounts linked to Brennan's brother-in-law's consulting company. The conspiracy wasn't just academy level. It was organized crime using military training as cover. Maya's fingers flew across keyboard. Every SEAL learns intelligence analysis. Every operator knows how to build cases from fragments. Every ghost knows how to find patterns in chaos and create clarity from confusion. By 1700 hours, she had preliminary framework. By 1715, 4 cadets entered the warehouse, carrying backpacks full of evidence and expressions mixing fear with determination. "Lock the door," Maya said. "Draw the blinds. This doesn't exist if someone walks in." They created a command center from folding tables and laptop screens. Maya connected everyone's devices to secured network, began uploading evidence into organized database. Sophia, you're on timeline documentation. Every harassment incident organized chronologically with witnesses cross-referenced. Emma, financial records. Every transaction Marcus has. Every Venmo receipt. Build the money trail showing fraud pattern. Lisa, you're compiling previous complaints. Jessica Martinez, Jennifer Walsh, Rachel Kim, integrate their documentation with yours. Show systematic targeting. Marcus, you're on witness statements. Everyone willing to testify gets formal interview. Record everything. Names, dates, specific incidents. Make it impossible to claim hearsay. The work began. 6 hours of intensive documentation, building case files that would withstand legal scrutiny, creating evidence packages that told stories so clear, even willful blindness couldn't ignore it. At 1900 hours, Marcus's phone rang. His roommate, the one who'd bought certification. "Don't answer," Maya said. "He knows I'm not at dinner. He'll get suspicious." "Let him get suspicious. We're 6 hours from finished. Suspicion we can handle." Marcus declined the call. At 2000 hours, warehouse lights flickered. Someone testing electrical systems, checking building security. The 5 of them froze, waited, breathed. Lights stabilized. Footsteps faded. Work continued. At 2100 hours, Emma broke down. Stress overwhelming discipline. "This is insane. We're cadets building criminal cases against instructors. If we're wrong..." "We're not wrong," Sophia said. "Look at the evidence. Look at what we've documented. This isn't speculation. This is fact. Facts don't matter if power dismisses them." Maya looked up from her laptop. Power dismisses facts until facts become undismissible, until documentation is so complete that dismissal requires complicity, until staying silent costs more than speaking up. She paused. "My job is making sure these facts can't be dismissed. Your job is having courage to present them. Can you do that?" Emma wiped her eyes, nodded. Returned to financial documentation. At 2230 hours, they had it. Complete case file. 473 pages of documentation. Audio recordings transcribed and time-stamped. Video evidence cataloged and indexed. Financial records showing fraud pattern. Witness statements from 47 cadets. Medical documentation of injuries. Psychological evaluations showing trauma markers. Everything organized into prosecutable format. Everything backed by evidence. Everything designed to force action from people who'd spent careers avoiding it. Maya encrypted the files, created 7 copies, 7 different secure locations, 7 insurance policies against suppression. 1 copy goes to NCIS, 1 to Naval Special Warfare Command, 1 to Department of Defense Inspector General, 1 to Senator Elizabeth Warren's office. She's on Armed Services Committee and has history holding military accountable. 1 to investigative journalists at ProPublica who specialize in military abuse cases. 1 to Military Times editorial board. 1 stays with me. That's 6, Marcus said. The 7th goes to you 4. Encrypted. Password protected. If something happens to me, if I disappear, if this gets buried, you release it everywhere. Social media, news outlets, congressional offices, everywhere simultaneously. Make it impossible to contain. Lisa's hands shook. You're talking like they might kill you. I'm talking like I've seen how institutions protect themselves when threatened. I'm talking like someone who knows that comprehensive evidence sometimes disappears when convenient. I'm talking like a SEAL who always has extraction plan before insertion. Sophia's eyes widened. You just admitted it. I'm someone who keeps promises. That's all that matters right now. At 2300 hours, the warehouse door handle rattled. Someone testing the lock. Someone who knew the building should be empty. Maya killed the lights. Hand signal for silence. 4 cadets who'd never trained for covert operations moved like operators because survival instinct overrides inexperience. The handle stopped moving. Footsteps retreated. Silence returned. Maya waited 5 minutes. 10. 15. Then restored minimal lighting. We're done here. Each of you takes your device and evidence package. Delete nothing from personal storage, yet we might need originals. But assume everything on Academy Network is compromised. Assume Brennan knows something's happening, even if he doesn't know what. What about you? Marcus asked. I file official reports through proper channels. Then I wait for institutional response. Then I decide whether proper channels work, or whether we go nuclear with public exposure. How long do we wait? 72 hours. If NCIS doesn't respond within 72 hours, we assume proper channels are compromised and execute backup plan. They left the warehouse in intervals. 1 cadet every 10 minutes. Different routes back to barracks. Nothing to suggest coordination or conspiracy. Maya stayed behind, wiped down surfaces, removed any evidence 5 people had spent 6 hours building case that would either reform institution or destroy everyone involved in creating it. Her phone powered back on. 17 messages from Morrison, each more urgent than the last. She read the final one. Brennan filed official complaint with Senator's office. Claims civilian contractor is conducting unauthorized investigation. Senator demanding answers. You have 12 hours before this becomes political crisis. Extract now or face court-martial for unauthorized covert operation. Maya typed careful response. Can't extract. 4 cadets at risk. Comprehensive evidence of federal crimes compiled. Request NCIS immediate deployment. Have documentation that justifies investigation and protects command from political blowback. What documentation? Everything. Harassment. Fraud. Conspiracy. Witness testimony. Financial records. Audio. Video. 473 pages that make dismissal impossible. Long pause. Maya imagined Morrison calculating odds, weighing political risk against operational necessity, balancing command responsibility against individual operator in danger. Send everything. Encrypted. Now. I'll forward to NCIS director personally. But Maya, if this goes wrong, I can't protect you. Unauthorized investigation. Blown cover. Political exposure. You'll face charges. Understood. Some missions matter more than protection. Maya uploaded complete case file. 473 pages, traveling through encrypted channels to people with authority to act, responsibility to investigate, power to prosecute. Then she did something reckless, something unauthorized, something that violated every protocol of covert operations. She sent the complete file to ProPublica investigative team with message hold for 72 hours. If you don't hear from me by then, publish everything. Insurance policy, backup plan. The thing that makes suppression impossible because truth has too many copies in too many hands. Her quarters felt smaller now. Walls closing in. The sensation of being hunted by people who wore same uniform, served same flag, betrayed same oath. She packed essentials. Laptop, encrypted phones, thumb drives with evidence copies. Everything needed for rapid extraction if extraction became survival requirement instead of tactical choice. 100 hours. Academy grounds silent except for guard rotations and distant sound of cadets sleeping through final peaceful night before everything changed. Maya lay in darkness, controlled breathing, steady heart rate, the calm before battle that every warrior knows. The moment when you've done everything possible to prepare an outcome depends on factors beyond control. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Almost let it ring through to voicemail. But SEALs answer unknown calls because intelligence comes from unexpected sources. Yes. Lieutenant Richardson, male voice, older. Authority carried in tone. This is Admiral James Foster, NCIS Director. Captain Morrison forwarded your case file. All 473 pages. Maya sat up. Sir? Hell of a documentation job. Hell of an unauthorized investigation. Hell of a political mess you've created. Sir, I can explain. No need. I read your reports, looked at your evidence. Cross-referenced with ongoing NCIS investigation into military training fraud that's been running for 8 months. You just handed us the missing pieces. Maya's heart rate elevated. Ongoing investigation. Senator Brennan's nephew running fraud scheme through military academies. We've been tracking it. Needed academy-level evidence to prosecute. You delivered it, along with harassment documentation that makes this whole thing prosecutable under multiple federal statutes. What happens now? Now NCIS deploys to Sentinel Academy at 0600 hours. Now we arrest 4 instructors and 1 colonel. Now we shut down fraud operation that's compromised military readiness and endangered national security. Now we demonstrate that political protection doesn't extend to federal crimes with documented evidence. Maya exhaled. And the cadets who provided testimony? Protected, witness security protocols, full immunity, guaranteed continued training without retaliation. Foster paused. Lieutenant, you violated about 17 regulations conducting this investigation. You exceeded authority. You compromised cover. You created political incident that's going to make Pentagon very unhappy. Yes, sir. You also saved 4 young women from systematic abuse. You exposed institutional corruption. You built case that's going to reform training protocols across every military academy. You did what SEALs do. You completed the mission regardless of personal cost. Just doing my job, sir. Your job was intelligence gathering. You did warfare. There's a difference. Another pause. Captain Morrison wants you court-martialed. I convinced her otherwise. Told her we need operators who choose right thing over safe thing, who understand some missions matter more than careers. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. You're getting a letter of reprimand in your file. Official documentation that you violated protocols. It'll affect promotion potential. Might prevent you reaching command level. Might cost you advancement opportunities. Understood, sir. But you're also getting Navy and Marine Corps Medal, Valor in non-combat situation, for extraordinary heroism protecting personnel under your charge, for moral courage in face of institutional pressure, for proving that one person standing up creates permission for everyone else to stop pretending everything's fine. Maya's throat tightened. Sir, I don't need a medal. Not about what you need. It's about what those 4 cadets need to see, need to believe. That speaking truth costs something but gains more. That sacrifice matters. That standing up works even when it's hard. When does NCIS arrive? 0600, 47 agents, full tactical team. We're treating this as hostile extraction because we expect resistance. Stay in your quarters, stay safe. Let us handle the arrests. Sir, I need to be there when Brennan... No, You're a witness, not an operator on this one. You did your job. Let us do ours. The line disconnected. Maya sat in darkness, processing everything. Mission accomplished. Evidence delivered. Justice incoming. 4 cadets protected. System forced to respond. But the cost was real. Letter of reprimand. Career impact. Political enemies made. All the consequences Morrison had warned about manifesting exactly as predicted. Worth it. She thought of Sophia's face when Brennan called her weak, thought of Emma's recording showing assault disguised as training, thought of Lisa's notebook filled with harassment documentation, thought of Marcus choosing testimony over silence. Yeah, worth it. 0500 hours came fast. Maya dressed in contractor uniform one final time, watched through window as NCIS vehicles rolled onto Academy grounds. 47 agents deploying with precision that made Marine operations look casual. 0515, synchronized breaches. 4 separate barracks. 4 instructors arrested simultaneously. No warning. No time to destroy evidence. No opportunity for political intervention to delay justice. 0530, Colonel Hayes arrested in his quarters. Charges read. Rights given. Career ending in real time. 0600, 400 cadets assembled on parade ground. Watched their instructors perp-walked past formation. Watched institution that protected abuse finally face accountability. Sophia found Maya near the equipment shed. The girl's eyes shone with something between vindication and shock. It's really happening. They're really being arrested. Evidence doesn't lie. Eventually, institutions run out of ways to ignore it. What happens to us now? You continue training. You excel. You become exactly what they said you couldn't be. And someday when another girl faces what you faced, you're the one who stands up. You're the one who fights back. You're the one who proves the system can change. Sophia hugged her. Unexpected, unprofessional, completely human. Thank you, the girl whispered. Thank you for seeing us, for believing us, for fighting when you could have walked away. Maya returned the embrace. SEALs don't walk away. We finish the mission. Always. She pulled back, met Sophia's eyes. Now go show them what we already know. That you belong here. That you always did. That their doubt was their weakness, not yours. The arrests should have been the end. They weren't. By 0800 hours, Senator Brennan's office had contacted Department of Defense demanding explanations. By 0900, Maya received summons to Washington, D.C. for closed-door testimony before Armed Services Committee. By 1000 hours, 3 major news outlets broke the story simultaneously. Navy SEAL exposes corruption at elite military academy, and Maya's cover disintegrated completely. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing. Morrison called first. You're all over the news. Your name, your photo, your SEAL designation. Everything we tried to keep quiet just went public in the worst possible way. Maya stood in her quarters watching NCIS agents process evidence while reporters gathered at Academy gates. How did the press get my identity? Someone leaked it. Someone with access to classified personnel files. Someone who wants you exposed and vulnerable. Morrison's voice carried weight of command failure. Senator Brennan is calling this a politically motivated hit job. Claims you targeted his nephew without cause. Claims the entire investigation is fabricated. 473 pages of evidence says otherwise. Evidence doesn't matter when politics gets involved. The senator has committee assignments that control military funding. He has leverage, and he's using it to protect his family. What about the cadets? What about Sophia and the others? Protected under witness security protocols. But Maya, you're not protected. You're exposed. Every enemy you made, every regulation you violated, every command decision you exceeded, it's all ammunition now. Through her window, Maya watched a news van breach Academy perimeter. Security trying to push them back. Reporters shouting questions at passing cadets. What do I do? You come to Washington, you testify. You defend your actions to people who don't care about truth, only about political advantage. You survive the next 72 hours and hope NCIS evidence is strong enough to withstand Senator Brennan's defense team. And if it's not, Morrison's silence answered the question. Captain, I need to ask you something. Go ahead. If you could go back knowing everything that's happened, would you still send me on this mission? Long pause. Maya heard Morrison breathing, calculating, weighing outcomes against costs. Yes, because those girls needed someone to fight for them. Because institutional rot spreads when left unchecked. Because sometimes the cost of doing nothing exceeds the price of doing something dangerous. Morrison's voice softened. But I wish I could protect you from what's coming next. SEALs don't need protection. We need clear mission parameters. Then here are your parameters. Survive Washington. Testify truthfully. Don't let them paint you as rogue operator conducting personal vendetta. Stick to facts. Trust the evidence. And Maya, don't admit to anything that isn't already documented. They'll try to expand charges. Don't give them ammunition. The call ended. Maya packed for DC. Dress uniform. Medals she'd earned through combat and courage. Documents proving every action she'd taken was justified by evidence, motivated by duty, executed with precision. But she knew politics didn't care about precision. Politics cared about narrative. And Senator Brennan had head start on narrative construction. A knock interrupted her packing. She opened the door expecting NCIS escorts. Found Sophia instead, standing with Emelisa and Marcus. 4 cadets who should have been in formation, not visiting the woman whose investigation had detonated their academy. You're leaving, Sophia said, not a question. Washington. Testimony before Congress. We're coming with you. Maya shook her head. Witnesses stay here. Protected. Safe. That was the deal. The deal changed when Senator Brennan called us liars on national television. Emma said, pulling out her phone, showing headline, Senator claims female cadets fabricated abuse to gain attention. Maya's jaw clenched. When did he say that? 20 minutes ago. Press conference. Said we invented harassment claims. Said we're seeking sympathy and special treatment. Said the military should never have lowered standards to accommodate women who can't handle reality. Lisa's hands shook, holding her phone. He called us weak. Said we're exactly why women don't belong in combat roles. Said his nephew is victim of false accusations by unstable females seeking attention. Marcus stepped forward. He didn't mention me because male witnesses don't fit his narrative. Doesn't matter. I'm testifying anyway. We all are. You don't have to do this, Maya said. NCIS has your statements, your documentation. You've done enough. Enough, Sophia's voice rose. He called us liars on national television. 40 million people just heard a United States senator say we invented abuse for attention. That's not enough. That's not close to enough. Emma pulled up another article. Twitter is calling us crisis actors. Reddit forums are doxing our families. Someone posted Lisa's home address with caption, "False accusers live here." This isn't just about testimony anymore. This is about our lives, our futures, our ability to exist in public without being harassed by people who believe Senator Brennan over documented evidence. Maya understood then. The cost had expanded beyond careers, beyond institutional reform. This had become character assassination at national scale. 4 young people facing coordinated destruction from power protecting itself. NCIS won't authorize you traveling to DC. Witness protection means staying secure. Then we travel unauthorized, Marcus said. We buy plane tickets. We show up at the hearing. We demand to testify. What are they going to do, arrest cadets for wanting to tell the truth? Yes, that's exactly what they might do. Witness tampering, obstruction, violation of protective orders. Senator Brennan's lawyers will use any excuse to discredit you. Sophia met Maya's eyes. You went unauthorized. You violated protocols. You risked everything to fight for us. Now it's our turn. I'm trained for this. I'm a SEAL. I can handle political warfare. We're cadets who documented abuse for 6 months while people called us weak. We can handle politicians calling us liars. Sophia's voice carried steel Maya recognized from her own Buds days. You taught us that standing up works. Now we're standing. With you. Whether you want us to or not. Maya calculated odds. 4 cadets traveling to D.C. meant 4 targets for Senator Brennan's defense team. 4 young people exposed to political machinery designed to destroy credibility. 4 witnesses who might crack under pressure that would make military training look gentle. But 4 cadets staying silent meant Senator Brennan's narrative became dominant. Meant his version of events, unstable females, fabricated claims, political witch hunt, became accepted truth. If you do this, they'll come after you harder than they came after me. They'll investigate your backgrounds, your families, every mistake you ever made, every stupid thing you posted on social media at 15. They'll weaponize your lives to discredit your testimony. Let them, Lisa said. I've been keeping journals since I was 12, writing about wanting to serve, about believing in honor and duty. Let them read every word. Let them see exactly who I was before I got here and who I became after Brennan targeted me. The contrast proves our case better than any testimony. Emma added, my mother's a lawyer. She says documentation defeats defamation. We have documentation. Senator Brennan has accusations. Documentation wins. Not in politics. In politics, whoever controls the narrative wins. Then we control the narrative, Marcus said. We go on record. We testify under oath. We make them choose between believing 4 cadets with evidence or 1 senator protecting his nephew with lies. Maya recognized herself in their determination. Saw the same stubborn refusal to quit that got her through Hell Week. The same commitment to mission over safety that made SEALs effective. Okay, but we do this smart. We coordinate with NCIS. We follow legal protocols. We don't give Brennan's team any procedural violations to exploit. How do we coordinate with NCIS when we're technically violating witness protection by leaving? We call Admiral Foster directly. We make this official before it becomes another unauthorized operation. Maya dialed Foster's number. 3 rings. Lieutenant Richardson, tell me you're not calling with more complications. 4 witnesses want to testify in person at the congressional hearing. They're aware of the risks. They're insisting on going public. Foster swore quietly. Those cadets are supposed to stay secured, protected, away from media circus that Washington's about to become. Senator Brennan called them liars on national television, called their documented abuse a fabrication. They want opportunity to respond under oath. Their testimony is already submitted in writing, video depositions recorded. They don't need to appear in person. Sophia grabbed Maya's phone. Admiral Foster, this is Cadet Sophia Chen. With respect, sir, we absolutely need to appear in person. Written testimony can be dismissed as coached. Video deposition can be edited. But 4 cadets standing in congressional hearing rooms swearing oath, looking senators in the eye while recounting abuse that's harder to dismiss. That forces accountability. Maya tried to take the phone back. Sophia stepped away. Foster's voice came through speaker. Cadet Chen, you understand what you're volunteering for congressional testimony under hostile questioning. Defense attorneys trying to break you. Media scrutiny of every aspect of your life. This isn't military training. This is political warfare. I understand, sir. I also understand that silence now means Senator Brennan's lies become accepted truth. Means future female cadets face same abuse we faced because we weren't brave enough to fight back publicly. I didn't survive 6 months of harassment to let a politician rewrite history. Put Lieutenant Richardson back on. Sophia handed the phone to Maya. Admiral, I know this complicates your case. Actually, it strengthens it. Written testimony is clinical. Live testimony is powerful. 4 young people demonstrating courage under pressure proves they're credible witnesses, not attention-seeking fabricators. Foster paused. Here's how this works. NCIS provides transportation and security. You travel together. You stay together, you testify together, and you follow every instruction my team gives. Understood? Yes, sir. Flight leaves at 1300 hours. Military transport. You'll arrive DC at 1700. Hearing tomorrow at 0900. Between now and then, you prep with NCIS attorneys. You learn how to handle hostile questions. You practice staying calm when senators call you liars to your face. We can handle it, Maya said. I hope you're right. Because if you can't, this whole case falls apart and Brennan walks free. The line disconnected. Emma looked at Maya. We're really doing this. We're testifying before Congress. We're fighting back the only way that matters in Washington, with truth, under oath, on public record. Lisa's phone buzzed. She checked it, face draining of color. My mother just called. Reporters are outside our house. They're asking about my mental health history, about therapy I got after my father died when I was 14. They're trying to paint me as unstable. Marcus checked his phone. My family, too. Someone leaked my academic record, showing I failed calculus freshman year, trying to suggest I'm not credible because I struggled with math at 18. Sophia's phone rang. She declined the call. Unknown number, 20th call this morning. They're doxing us. They're harassing our families, and we haven't even testified yet. Maya's tactical brain activated. Turn off your phones, all of you, right now. No social media, no incoming calls, no checking news. NCIS will handle family security. You focus on preparation. How do we prepare for people calling us liars? By knowing they're wrong, by trusting your evidence, by remembering that truth doesn't change based on who doubts it. Maya met each of their eyes. In combat, you trust your training when everything else fails. This is combat. Different weapons, same principle. Trust your preparation. Trust your documentation. Trust that doing the right thing matters even when it's hard. The flight to DC felt endless, despite being 3 hours. Military transport meant no commercial comfort, just web seating and engine noise that made conversation difficult. NCIS agents sat separate, reviewing case files, preparing prosecution strategy. Maya used the time to coach the cadets on testimony technique. They'll try to catch you in contradictions. Ask same question 5 different ways, hoping you answer differently. Solution. Stick to facts, Sophia said. Don't elaborate. Don't speculate. Don't let them put words in our mouths. Exactly. What else? Emma responded. Stay calm. Don't get emotional even when questions are designed to provoke. They'll use your emotion against you. They'll say you're unstable, irrational, can't handle pressure, so you show them different. You show them competence, clarity, control. Marcus added, and we back each other up. If one person's testimony gets attacked, the others corroborate. They can dismiss one witness. They can't dismiss 4 telling identical stories with matching evidence. Good. What's your biggest vulnerability? Lisa answered quietly. That we want this to be true. That we're motivated by desire to see Brennan punished, rather than commitment to truth. How do you counter that? By acknowledging it. By saying, yes, we want justice. Yes, we want accountability. But wanting justice doesn't make evidence false. Wanting accountability doesn't fabricate documentation. Maya nodded. They'll also suggest you're being manipulated, that I coached you, that NCIS pressured you. How do you respond? Sophia said. By pointing out that our documentation predates your investigation, that Jessica Martinez started recording abuse before you ever arrived at Sentinel Academy, that the pattern exists independent of your involvement. Perfect. Remember, they're not trying to find truth. They're trying to create doubt, reasonable doubt, political doubt, public doubt. Your job is making doubt impossible through clarity, consistency, and comprehensive evidence. The plane descended into Washington airspace. Through small windows, they saw the Capitol spreading below monuments to democracy built by people who believed institutions could serve justice. Maya hoped that belief wasn't historical artifact. NCIS vehicles waited at the military airfield. Agents formed protective corridors shuttling them into SUVs with tinted windows. Media already camped at every major hotel, so NCIS had arranged secure facility, a government office building converted temporarily to witness housing. Separate rooms. Armed guards. Communication blackout. Total isolation until testimony. Admiral Foster met them in the secure briefing room, 63 years old. 3 decades of service, face carrying weight of institutional battles fought and sometimes lost. Tomorrow morning, you'll face Senate Armed Services Committee, 19 senators, 11 hostile to this investigation because Senator Brennan is a colleague they've worked with for years, 4 sympathetic because they've spent careers fighting military abuse, 4 undecided who'll vote based on testimony credibility. He pulled up photographs on screen. Senator Brennan will question you personally. He has legal right to confront witnesses against his nephew. He'll use that right to intimidate, to confuse, to discredit. He's former prosecutor. He knows how to cross-examine. Emma's voice shook. What if we mess up? What if we say something wrong? Then you correct yourself immediately. Acknowledge the error. Provide accurate information. Honesty about mistakes builds credibility. Defensiveness destroys it. Foster clicked to next slide. Senator Elizabeth Warren will question you next. She's on your side. She'll give you opportunity to clarify, to expand on documentation, to explain why you came forward. Use that time wisely. Make your case clear. Lisa asked, what about the other senators? The ones who are undecided? They're watching credibility markers. Eye contact. Response consistency. Whether your story sounds rehearsed or authentic. Whether you demonstrate courage or seem coached. Foster leaned forward. Here's what they won't tell you. Most people can't maintain lies under hostile questioning. Truth stays consistent because it's real. Lies evolve because memory fails. Your advantage is truth. Use it. Marcus raised his hand. What happens if they vote that we're not credible? What happens if they believe Senator Brennan? Then charges get dropped. Brennan and the others walk free. Academy returns to normal operations. And you 4 live rest of your lives knowing you tried. Foster paused. But that's not going to happen, because I've spent 30 years reading people and I know credible witnesses when I see them. You're credible. Your evidence is comprehensive. Your testimony will hold. You sound certain, Sophia said. I am certain, because I've seen what you've survived. Because I know that people who fabricate stories don't document them for 6 months. Don't risk their careers to report abuse. Don't volunteer to testify when they could stay silent. Foster's voice hardened. Senator Brennan is betting you'll crack under pressure. Show him he bet wrong. They spent 6 hours preparing, mock questioning, hostile scenarios. Every possible attack vector mapped and countered. By midnight, the cadets could recite their testimony in sleep. Answer contradictory questions without hesitation. Maintain composure under simulated pressure. But simulation isn't reality. Practice questioning by friendly NCIS attorneys wasn't same as hostile interrogation by senator protecting family legacy. Maya saw doubt creeping in. Saw Lisa's hands shaking during final prep session. Saw Emma checking her phone compulsively despite communication blackout. Saw Marcus pacing like caged animal. Saw Sophia staring at wall with expression that suggested reconsidering everything. You're scared, Maya said, after NCIS attorneys left them alone. 4 heads nodded. Good. Fear means you understand stakes. Means you're taking this seriously. Means you respect the danger. How do you handle fear? Sophia asked. In combat, when people are shooting, when teammates are dying. How do you keep fighting? Maya sat across from them. You don't eliminate fear. You function through it. You acknowledge it. You let it sharpen focus instead of paralyze action. You remember why you're there. Why were you there in Syria? In combat? Why did you keep fighting when you could have quit? Because teammates depended on me. Because mission mattered. Because walking away meant people died who shouldn't die. Maya met Sophia's eyes. Same reason you're fighting now. Because other cadets depend on your testimony. Because institutional reform matters. Because walking away means future girls suffer what you suffered. Emma wiped tears she'd been holding back all day. What if I cry tomorrow? What if I break down when Senator Brennan calls me liar? Then you cry. Then you wipe your eyes. Then you continue testifying. Emotion doesn't invalidate truth. It proves you're human. That abuse hurt you. That standing up costs something. Senator Brennan will say crying proves we're unstable. Senator Brennan will say lots of things. None of them change what happened to you. None of them erase your documentation. None of them make your evidence disappear. Marcus spoke next. My father called tonight, before communication blackout. Said I should withdraw testimony. Said going against Senator means making powerful enemy. Said my career is over before it starts if I do this. What did you tell him? That some things matter more than careers. That honor isn't just word. That I'd rather have short career doing right thing than long career staying silent while wrong continues. Your father understand? No, he's angry. Says I'm naive. Says I don't understand how world works. Says idealism is luxury I can't afford. Maya recognized the argument, had heard similar from people who thought surviving required compromising success, meant silence advancement required accepting unacceptable things. Your father's wrong. Idealism isn't luxury. It's necessity. It's what separates honorable service from institutionalized corruption. It's what makes military mean something beyond organized violence. Lisa looked up. Do you think we'll win tomorrow? I think you'll tell truth. I think evidence will speak. I think 4 young people demonstrating courage will matter more than one senator protecting his nephew. Beyond that, I don't control outcomes. Neither do you. We control testimony. We control integrity. We control whether we can look ourselves in mirror afterward. Sophia stood walk to window overlooking DC monuments lit against night sky. Jessica Martinez called me tonight, before blackout. Said she's watching tomorrow. Said she wishes she'd been brave enough to fight when she was here. Said seeing us testify gives her hope that standing up works. What did you tell her? That it's not too late, that she can still testify, that her evidence still matters. Is she coming? She's scared. Her family's being harassed. Her new employer found out about academy situations, suggested she resign to avoid controversy. She's lost job credibility, peace of mind, and we haven't even testified yet. Maya's hands clenched. This was the cost nobody talked about. The price of challenging power. Jessica had done everything right. Documented abuse, filed complaints, followed procedures, and still lost everything because institution chose protection over justice. Until now. Until NCIS investigation forced accountability. Until 4 cadets refused to let silence continue. Tomorrow you testify for Jessica, for Jennifer, for Rachel, for every woman who reported abuse and was dismissed, for every future cadet who will train without harassment because you had courage to fight. Maya stood. And you testify for yourselves, for the truth you documented, for the hell you survived, for the right to say what happened and be believed. They stood together, 4 cadets and 1 SEAL, 5 people against institutional power, political influence, coordinated defense, 5 people who chose truth over safety. The night passed slowly. Maya didn't sleep, couldn't sleep. Lay in government housing bed, reviewing testimony, checking evidence, preparing for every possible attack. At 0400, her encrypted phone buzzed. Message from Morrison. Senator Brennan filed motion to exclude cadet testimony. Claims witnesses are biased. Hearing delayed until motion is resolved. Maya's heart rate spiked. Delay meant momentum lost. Meant Brennan's team had more time to discredit witnesses. Meant media narrative would shift from brave cadets testifying to controversial investigations stalled. She typed response. What's the timeline? Motion hearing at 0700. If judge rules in Brennan's favor, cadets don't testify. Entire case rests on your testimony alone. Can they win the motion? They're arguing that emotional testimony from alleged victims prejudices the committee. That documented evidence should speak without live witnesses. That cadets are too invested in outcome to be objective. That's insane. Victims are always invested in outcome. Welcome to politics. Logic is optional. Maya forwarded the message to Admiral Foster. Response came immediately. Knew this was coming. Defense team prepared. Will argue that excluding witnesses violates their right to confront accusations. Senator Brennan called them liars publicly. They deserve public response. Odds 60-40 in our favor. Judge is former JAG officer, understands military justice, but political pressure is intense. Maya dressed in dress uniform, ribbons precisely aligned, trident polished. Every regulation met perfectly because appearance mattered when credibility was under attack. The cadets gathered in briefing room at 0600. None had slept. All wore dress uniforms borrowed from NCIS quartermaster since their academy uniforms were evidence. Senator Brennan filed motion to exclude your testimony, Maya said. No point in softening. Hearing in 1 hour. If he wins, you don't testify. Sophia's face hardened. He can't do that. We have right to defend ourselves. He's arguing you're too biased to be objective witnesses. We're biased toward truth. That's literally the point of testimony. Emma stood. What do we do? How do we fight this? NCIS attorneys handle legal arguments. We wait. We prepare for either outcome. If motion is denied, we testify as planned. If motion is granted, I testify alone and your evidence speaks through documentation. That's not enough, Marcus said. Documentation can be dismissed as fabricated. We need live testimony to prove it's real. Lisa added, Senator Brennan knows that. That's why he's trying to silence us, because he knows we're credible, knows we'll be believed, knows his nephew goes to prison if we testify. Maya checked her watch. 0615. 45 minutes until motion hearing. That would determine whether justice had voice or stayed silent. Her phone buzzed. Number she didn't recognize. She almost declined, then saw Virginia area code. Answered. Lieutenant Richardson, female voice, young, scared. This is Jessica Martinez. I'm at Union Station. I came to testify. Maya's breath caught. Jessica, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I heard about the motion. I heard Brennan's trying to silence Sophia and the others. I can't let that happen. I won't let my silence help him win. Your testimony wasn't subpoenaed. You're not required to appear. I'm required by conscience, by honor, by debt to girls who are braver than I was. Jessica's voice strengthened. Where do I go? How do I testify? Maya gave her NCIS secure facility address. Hung up. Looked at the 4 cadets staring at her. That was Jessica Martinez. She's here. She's testifying. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. She came. Even after everything. She actually came. She came because you inspired her, because seeing 4 cadets fight gave her courage to fight too. 20 minutes later, Jessica arrived. 21 years old, civilian clothes face showing damage that 18 months hadn't fully healed. She looked at Sophia, Emma, Lisa, Marcus. 4 people who'd experienced identical hell in different timeline. I'm sorry I left, Jessica said. I'm sorry I quit. I'm sorry I let them win. Sophia hugged her. You didn't let them win. You survived. You documented. You created foundation we built on. You're why we knew what to record, how to document, what evidence mattered. Jennifer Walsh arrived 10 minutes later, Rachel Kim 5 minutes after that. 3 women who'd quit academy, lost confidence, believed their silence was permanent, now standing together preparing to testify. 7 witnesses, 7 testimonies. 7 voices that couldn't be silenced even if motion was granted because they'd speak anyway. Subpoena or not permission or not political consequences be damned. Admiral Foster entered briefing room at 0650. Motion hearing in 10 minutes. All 7 witnesses present changes the calculus. Defense team argued 4 cadets are biased. Can't argue 7 independent witnesses spanning 18 months all fabricated identical stories. What are our odds now? Maya asked. 90-10 in our favor. But that 10% is real. Judge could rule that emotional testimony prejudices committee. Could decide documentation alone is sufficient. Could choose procedural correctness over testimonial justice. At 0700 they gathered in federal courthouse waiting room. Through closed doors they heard legal arguments. NCIS attorneys arguing for witness rights. Defense team arguing for procedural purity. Judge asking questions that revealed nothing about intended ruling. 30 minutes of argument, then silence. Then judge's voice through speakers. Motion denied. Witnesses will testify. Their credibility is for committee to determine, not for this court to preempt. Hearing proceeds as scheduled. 7 people exhaled simultaneously. Relief mixing with renewed terror because now it was real. Now they'd face Senate committee. Now courage required action instead of preparation. At 0830, they entered Senate hearing room. Cameras everywhere, media packed into gallery. 19 senators arrayed behind bench-like judges rendering verdict before evidence was heard. Senator Brennan sat center position. 68 years old, silver hair face carrying authority earned through decades of political survival. Eyes that assessed Maya and the 7 witnesses like enemy combatants needing elimination. He spoke first, voice carrying across chamber with practiced projection. This committee convenes to investigate allegations of misconduct at Sentinel Defense Academy. Allegations brought by individuals with questionable motives and supported by dubious evidence. Allegations that threaten the reputation of decorated military instructors and undermine confidence in our training institutions. Maya felt 4 cadets tense beside her. Felt Jessica, Jennifer, Rachel preparing for fight they'd avoided for too long. Senator Warren responded immediately. The chair notes that evidence includes 473 pages of documentation, multiple audio and video recordings, financial records proving fraud, and testimony from 7 independent witnesses. The chair suggests dubious is inaccurate characterization. The chair suggests we hear testimony before rendering judgments, Brennan replied. First witness, Lieutenant Junior Grade Maya Richardson. Maya stood, walked to witness table, raised her right hand, swore oath to tell truth, whole truth, nothing but truth. Then she began dismantling the conspiracy that threw her in mud and discovered ghosts don't stay buried. They rise. Maya's testimony began with facts stripped of emotion, delivered with precision that made each word land like evidence entering record. I arrived at Sentinel Defense Academy on October 3rd as civilian contractor undercover identity Michelle Ross. My actual assignment was covert investigation into pattern of female cadet attrition. 3 women had quit within 6 months. All cited hostile environment. All filed complaints that were dismissed. Senator Brennan leaned forward. Lieutenant, you conducted this investigation without Academy knowledge, without proper authorization from chain of command. I conducted this investigation with full authorization from Naval Special Warfare Command and NCIS oversight. The Academy's lack of knowledge was operational necessity, not procedural violation. Operational necessity, or convenient excuse to avoid accountability. Operational necessity to prevent evidence destruction and witness intimidation. Standard protocol for investigating institutional corruption. Brennan's jaw tightened. You're calling Sentinel Defense Academy corrupt. I'm documenting what I observed. Whether that constitutes corruption is for this committee to determine based on evidence. Senator Warren intervened. Lieutenant Richardson, please describe what you observed on your 3rd day at the Academy. Maya recounted the mud incident, Brennan's assault, the verbal harassment, the 40 witnesses, her documentation of timeline actions violations. She spoke without embellishment, without dramatic emphasis, letting facts carry weight that emotion couldn't add. Staff Sergeant Brennan threw you to the ground, Warren asked. Yes, ma'am. Pushed me face first into obstacle course mud pit, hard enough to tear skin, hard enough to cause bruising that lasted 11 days. Did you report this assault? I documented it in encrypted field report to Captain Morrison at Nav Spec War. Reporting to Academy chain of command would have compromised my investigation. Brennan spoke again. So you were assaulted allegedly and chose not to report through proper channels, chose instead to maintain your deception. Doesn't that suggest your priorities were investigation over truth? My priority was protecting future victims. Reporting assault to Colonel Hayes, who had dismissed 3 previous complaints, would have ended investigation without addressing systemic problem. Or perhaps there was no assault. Perhaps you fabricated this incident to justify your unauthorized presence. Maya pulled out her phone, displayed photos she'd taken. Medical documentation shows bruising consistent with assault. Academy security footage shows exact incident. 40 cadet witnesses provided statements corroborating my account. Staff Sergeant Brennan himself didn't deny the assault when NCIS questioned him. He justified it as appropriate response to unauthorized civilian presence. The hearing room fell silent. Brennan had just been caught in contradiction. His own nephew couldn't escape. Warren pressed the advantage. So the assault is documented, witnessed, and admitted. What happened next? Maya detailed the escalation. Sophia's targeted harassment, the rigged obstacle course evaluation, her confrontation with Brennan that morning, the cadets who came forward with evidence. How many cadets ultimately provided testimony? 7 female cadets spanning 18 months, plus 11 male cadets who witnessed harassment but stayed silent until investigation provided safe reporting mechanism. Why did male cadets stay silent initially? Fear of retaliation, fear of ostracism, fear that reporting would mark them as disloyal to instructor corps. Maya paused. Institutional culture that punishes reporting creates an environment where abuse flourishes unchecked. Senator Brennan's face reddened. Lieutenant, you're 23 years old. You've been a SEAL for 18 months. What qualifies you to evaluate institutional culture at Academy with 50-year history of producing exceptional military leaders? I'm qualified by serving an institution that reformed its culture to include women. I'm qualified by experiencing both hostile training environment and supportive one. I'm qualified by understanding difference between demanding standards and abusive harassment. And you believe you can distinguish between the two. I know I can. Demanding standards push people to exceed their limitations. Abusive harassment pushes people to quit. Demanding standards are applied equally. Abusive harassment targets specific groups. Demanding standards build capability. Abusive harassment destroys it. Warren smiled slightly. Did your BUDS instructors harass you, Lieutenant? They subjected me to identical standards as male candidates. They didn't lower expectations. They didn't make accommodations. They also didn't throw me in mud while calling me weak. Didn't sabotage my equipment. Didn't tell me I didn't belong because of my gender. How did they communicate high standards? By demonstrating them, by holding everyone accountable equally, by making capability the only criterion that mattered. Maya's voice strengthened. My instructor, Senior Chief Ramirez, told me to show them, not prove you belong despite being female. Just show them what you can do. That's leadership. That's how you build warriors. What happened at Sentinel Academy wasn't leadership. It was predation, disguised as training. Brennan stood abruptly. I've heard enough testimony from someone who violated regulations, conducted unauthorized investigations, and now sits in judgment of decorated instructors. I move to dismiss this witness as biased and procedurally compromised. Senator Warren didn't stand, didn't raise her voice, simply said, "Motion denied. Lieutenant Richardson's testimony is corroborated by documentation this committee has reviewed. Her methods may be unorthodox, but her evidence is sound. Please continue, Lieutenant." Maya detailed the fraud scheme next. 27 cadets purchasing certifications. $370,000 flowing through offshore accounts. Brennan's nephew Kyle as primary operator with 3 accomplices, providing institutional cover. These are serious allegations, one undecided senator said. Do you have evidence beyond testimony? Venmo receipts, bank transfers, text messages explicitly discussing payment for grades, audio recordings of transactions, financial forensics, tracing money from cadets through intermediary accounts to personal holdings of the 4 instructors. And NCIS has verified this evidence. NCIS Financial Crimes Unit spent 6 weeks authenticating every transaction. Their report confirms systematic fraud spanning 2 years. Another undecided senator spoke. Why didn't cadets who purchased certifications report the fraud? Same reason sexual assault victims don't always report immediately. Fear of consequences. Shame at being complicit. Belief that system protects perpetrators over victims. Maya met the senator's eyes. Also, several cadets who purchased certifications have now come forward. They're cooperating with NCIS, providing testimony in exchange for reduced charges. The evidence web is comprehensive. Brennan's voice turned cold. Lieutenant, isn't it true you have personal vendetta against my nephew, that he embarrassed you publicly, and you retaliated with fabricated investigation? Staff Sergeant Brennan assaulted me. I documented that assault. His subsequent actions targeting Sophia Chen, rigging evaluations, running fraud scheme, those weren't retaliation against me. Those were patterns that existed before I arrived and would have continued if I hadn't investigated. But you have personal motivation to see him punished. I have professional obligation to report crimes I witness. Personal feelings are irrelevant to documented evidence. Are they? You're young, female. SEAL trying to prove herself in male-dominated field. Isn't this entire investigation attempt to demonstrate your worth by destroying successful male instructors? Maya's hands clenched beneath the table. She forced them to relax. Senator, I proved my worth in Aleppo when I held sniper position for 14 hours covering marine extraction. I proved it in Kandahar when I took round through my forearm and kept firing for 40 minutes. I proved it through 18 months of combat operations where gender was irrelevant and capability was everything. I don't need to destroy anyone to demonstrate worth already established through service. Then why conduct this investigation? Why not let Academy handle internal matters? Because internal handling failed 3 times. Because Jessica Martinez filed complaint that was dismissed. Because Jennifer Walsh documented harassment that was ignored. Because Rachel Kim reported sexual assault that chain of command called oversensitivity. The Academy didn't handle internal matters. It buried them. Senator Warren took over questioning again. Lieutenant, in your professional assessment, does the evidence support criminal prosecution? Yes, ma'am. Assault, fraud. Assault, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, sexual harassment creating hostile environment. Every charge is supported by documentation that meets federal prosecution standards. And the institutional culture issues require reform beyond criminal prosecution, require leadership change, require accountability mechanisms, require zero-tolerance policies actually enforced, require belief that reporting abuse is duty, not disloyalty. Can Sentinel Academy be reformed? Any institution can be reformed if leadership commits to change. Question is whether current leadership is capable of that commitment or whether change requires new leadership. Brennan interrupted. Are you suggesting Colonel Hayes should be removed? I'm suggesting Colonel Hayes dismissed 3 valid harassment complaints, failed to investigate documented abuse, and created an environment where instructors believed they could assault cadets without consequences. Whether that constitutes removable offense is above my authority to determine. But you have opinion. My opinion is that leaders who protect abusers over victims have failed their most fundamental responsibility. My opinion is that rank requires accountability, not immunity. My opinion is that Colonel Hayes' retirement should not erase his complicity in systematic abuse. The hearing room erupted, media typing frantically, senators conferring, Brennan's face purple with rage barely contained. Warren gavelled for order. We'll take 15-minute recess. When we resume, cadet witnesses will testify. Maya stepped down from witness table. Her legs shook from adrenaline crash. She'd just publicly accused a colonel of institutional failure, challenged a senator's nephew, detailed corruption that implicated dozens of people with power to retaliate. Admiral Foster met her in hallway. Strong testimony, credible, fact-based. You gave them nothing to attack except your methods, and you defended those effectively. Senator Brennan hates me now. Senator Brennan hated you before you testified. Now he fears you. There's a difference. Sophia approached with the other 6 witnesses. You were incredible. The way you handled his questions, calm, precise, unshakable. That's how we need to testify. You'll face harder questions. He'll try to break you emotionally. Try to make you cry, then use tears as evidence of instability. Try to catch contradictions between your stories, then claim you're coordinating lies. Jessica spoke next. What if I do cry? What if I can't hold it together? Then you cry. Then you explain why. Then you continue testifying. Emotion doesn't invalidate truth. It proves abuse had impact, that you're human, that standing here costs something. The 15 minutes passed too quickly. They returned to hearing room. 7 witnesses sworn in simultaneously. 7 right hands raised. 7 voices promising truth. Senator Warren began questioning Sophia first. Cadet Chen, please describe your experience at Sentinel Defense Academy. Sophia's voice started shaky, strengthened with each word. I arrived October 1st with perfect academic record, stellar physical performance scores, recommendation letters from 3 generals. Within 2 weeks, Staff Sergeant Brennan began targeting me. Small comments first, about my appearance, about whether I could handle real training, jokes about Asian women being too small for military service. Did you report these comments? I documented them. Didn't report initially because I thought I could handle it. Thought reporting minor harassment would make me seem weak. When did harassment escalate? Week 4. Hand-to-hand combat training. Brennan demonstrated hold on me that was sexually inappropriate. His hands on my chest, his body pressed against mine longer than technique required. When I tensed, he told class I was frigid, that I couldn't handle physical contact, made it my fault. Did witnesses corroborate this? 40 cadets watched. 3 have provided written statements describing incident as inappropriate. 1 filmed it on phone because something felt wrong. That video is in evidence. Senator Brennan interrupted. Cadet Chen, hand-to-hand combat requires physical contact. Are you suggesting that appropriate training constitutes sexual harassment? Sophia met his eyes without flinching. I'm suggesting that training doesn't require instructor's hands on my breasts for 30 seconds while he makes comments about my body. I'm suggesting that technique demonstration doesn't require grinding against student while other instructors laugh. I'm suggesting I know difference between training and assault, and what Staff Sergeant Brennan did was assault. That's serious accusation based on your interpretation. It's documented fact based on video evidence, witness testimony, and medical examination showing bruising inconsistent with training technique. Sophia's voice hardened. Senator, I've trained in hand-to-hand combat for 6 years. I've competed nationally. I know what appropriate instruction looks like. What your nephew did wasn't instruction. It was assault with 40 witnesses who were too scared to intervene. Warren continued. What happened when you filed formal complaint? Colonel Hayes called me to his office, listened for 4 minutes, told me military training isn't designed for comfort, said if I couldn't handle physical stress, I should consider civilian career, dismissed my complaint as failure to adapt to military culture. Did he investigate your claims? He asked if I had witnesses. I named 3 cadets. He said their testimony was unreliable because they were my friends. Asked if I had physical evidence. I showed him bruises. He said bruises are normal in combat training. Asked if I had video. I said another cadet filmed it. He told me unauthorized filming violates academy regulations and threatened disciplinary action against the cadet who tried to help me. The hearing room went silent. Colonel Hayes had just been implicated in witness intimidation and evidence suppression. Emma testified next. Described identical pattern. Harassment escalating to assault. Complaint filed and dismissed. Documentation created in desperation when official channels failed. Lisa followed. Her testimony included sexual harassment so explicit that Senator Warren had to gavel down media disruption. Lisa cried twice, apologized for crying, continued testifying through tears that made her more credible, not less. Marcus provided male perspective, described watching harassment, wanting to intervene, fearing consequences that would end his career before it started, described the moral injury of staying silent of complicity through inaction of shame that motivated his eventual testimony. Jennifer Walsh spoke about PTSD from abuse, about therapy costs her family couldn't afford, about nightmares 18 months after quitting, about weight loss, panic attacks, depression that made her mother think she was suicidal. Were you suicidal? Warren asked gently. Yes, ma'am. Twice. Once at academy after Colonel Hayes dismissed my complaint. Once 6 months after quitting when I realized abuse would go unpunished, and I'd carry that weight forever. What kept you alive? Jennifer looked at Sophia, knowing someday someone would fight back. Someone would be braver than me. Someone would make this matter. I survived to witness that, to support that, to prove their courage wasn't wasted. Rachel Kim testified about sexual assault disguised as medical examination, about academy doctor who was Brennan's friend conducting unnecessary physical exam that included vaginal penetration without consent, about reporting assault to Colonel Hayes and being told military medical procedures differ from civilian expectations. Did you seek civilian medical examination afterward? Yes. Civilian doctor confirmed examination was medically unnecessary. Confirmed penetration was assault. Provided documentation for police report. Did you file police report? I tried. Local police said military matters fall under military jurisdiction. Referred me back to Academy chain of command. Circle that protected perpetrator and punished victim. By the time seventh witness finished, 4 hours had passed. 7 testimonies, 7 identical patterns, 7 documented failures of institutional protection. Senator Brennan looked diminished. His nephew's actions couldn't be denied when 7 independent witnesses described identical abuse. His defense strategy to discredit individual witnesses collapsed when pattern emerged that transcended individual credibility. But he had one weapon remaining: political pressure. This committee will recess until tomorrow while we review testimony and evidence. We'll reconvene at 900 hours for closing arguments and vote. That night, Maya's phone exploded with messages, some supportive, many hostile. Death threats from people who believed her investigation was politically motivated attack on military tradition. Rape threats from men who thought destroying a female SEAL would preserve male dominance. Doxing that published her home address, family information, personal details meant to intimidate. Admiral Foster called it 2200 hours. Your testimony went viral. 40 million views across platforms. Public opinion is split. Half support you, half want you court-martialed. Senator Brennan is working votes tonight, trying to convince undecided senators that your investigation was rogue operation without proper authorization. It had authorization. Political authorization is different from operational authorization. He's arguing that Nav Spekwar exceeded authority conducting covert investigation of Sister Service Academy without Department of Defense approval. Does he have point? Technically, yes. Morrison got approval from Nav Spekwar Command but didn't coordinate with DoD oversight. In normal circumstances, that's procedural violation. In these circumstances, it's what enabled successful investigation. What are our odds tomorrow? Depends on how undecided senators vote. They're getting pressure from both sides. Military reform advocates demanding accountability. Military traditionalists demanding you be disciplined for unauthorized operation. It's genuinely uncertain. Maya lay awake calculating scenarios. Best case committee votes to prosecute all defendants. Reforms Academy protocols exonerates her methods as necessary for successful investigation. Worst case committee dismisses charges as based on unauthorized evidence court-martials. Her for exceeding authority leaves cadets unprotected. Middle cases existed between extremes, but politics rarely chose middle ground. At 0300 her phone rang. Morrison's number. Maya, I need you to consider plea agreement. What agreement? Senator Brennan approached DoD leadership. He's offering deal. He'll allow prosecution of the 4 instructors if you accept letter of reprimand and resign from Navy. Maya sat up. He wants my career in exchange for his nephew's prosecution. He wants you gone. You're too dangerous, too effective, too likely to inspire other women to challenge institutional failures. He'll sacrifice his nephew to eliminate you. That's insane. That's politics. One young SEAL matters less than preventing future investigations. Your resignation becomes precedent, becomes warning, becomes message that challenging power costs everything. What does DoD think? They're considering it. 4 criminal prosecutions plus academy reform without political battle over your methods. Clean outcome, minimal controversy, everyone moves forward. Except me. I lose career. Cadets lose witness who proved standing up works. System learns that effective investigation gets punished. Yes. Maya walked to window. DC monuments lit against darkness. Symbols of democracy, justice, institutional integrity. Symbols that meant nothing if one senator could trade prosecutions for retaliation. Tell DoD and Senator Brennan that I decline. Tell them I'll accept court-martial before I resign. Tell them I'll testify publicly about why Navy forced out SEAL who exposed corruption. Tell them I'll make this political nightmare they can't contain. Maya, they'll destroy you. Court-martial, dishonorable discharge, criminal charges for unauthorized investigation. You'll lose everything. I'll lose career. I'll keep honor. I'll keep proof that doing right thing matters even when it costs everything. That's worth more than rank. Morrison was silent for a long moment. Hawk would be proud, stubborn, stupid. but proud. Hawk taught me that SEALs don't quit, not in surf zones, not under fire, not when it matters most. This matters most. I'll relay your decision. Prepare for war tomorrow. Senator Brennan plays for keeps. The call ended. Maya showered, dressed in dress uniform, checked her ribbons one final time. Bronze Star, Silver Star, Purple Heart. Combat Action Ribbon. Navy and Marine Corps Medal, the one Foster promised for moral courage that might get revoked when she refused plea agreement. Sophia knocked at 0700. Jessica just called. Senator Brennan's team leaked her therapy records. Posted them online with caption, "Unstable witness seeks attention. They're destroying her credibility." Maya's hands clenched. How's Jessica handling it? She's devastated, considering withdrawing testimony. Says she can't handle public exposure of her mental health struggles. Get her on phone, now. Sophia dialed, put it on speaker. Jessica, this is Maya. I know what they did. I know it hurts. But withdrawing now means they win. Means mental health becomes disqualification. Means anyone who sought help for trauma gets dismissed as unstable. I can't do this. My family is being harassed. My former employer is demanding I repay severance because I'm creating controversy. My therapist is getting death threats for treating me. This is destroying everyone I love. That's the cost of challenging power. That's why most people stay silent. But Jessica, if you withdraw, Sophia and the others face same tactics alone. If you stay, you prove that seeking help is strength, not weakness. That trauma survivors are credible, not unstable. That they can't silence everyone. I'm scared. Me too. But fear is data, not destiny. You decide what it means. You decide whether it stops you or sharpens you. Jessica was quiet for 30 seconds that felt like 30 years. Then, okay, I'll testify. But Maya, promise me this matters. Promise me destroying my life accomplishes something. I promise this changes everything. Your courage creates permission for everyone else. Your testimony proves system can be challenged. Your survival proves they can't break everyone. At 0830, they entered hearing room for final day. Media presence had doubled. Protesters outside, half supporting the investigation, half calling it witch hunt. Police in riot gear managing crowd that threatened violence from both sides. Senator Brennan spoke first. This committee has heard dramatic testimony from 7 young women and 1 Navy SEAL with questionable motives. Before we vote, I want clarity on investigative procedures. Admiral Foster, did Lieutenant Richardson have proper authorization for her covert operation? Foster stood. Lieutenant Richardson operated under Naval Special Warfare Command authorization with NCIS oversight. All procedures were followed consistent with covert investigation protocols. But you didn't coordinate with Department of Defense before inserting SEAL investigator into Sister Service Academy. Coordination would have compromised operational security. Standard protocol for covert investigations. Standard protocol or convenient excuse to avoid accountability. Brennan's voice rose. You inserted military operator into civilian contracted academy without DoD knowledge. That's not investigation. That's military overreach bordering on domestic surveillance, Senator Warren interrupted. Warren. The academy is military training facility operating under DoD jurisdiction. Investigating military training facilities is exactly within military investigative authority. Senator Warren, the academy contracts with DoD but operates semi-independently. Civilian oversight, private funding. Military investigation without civilian coordination violates separation of powers. Warren smiled coldly. Senator Brennan, you're arguing that academy is civilian institution when discussing investigative authority, but military institution when discussing training standards. You can't have it both ways. Either it's military facility subject to military oversight, or it's civilian facility that shouldn't be training military personnel. Brennan's face reddened. I'm arguing that procedures matter, that unauthorized investigations produce tainted evidence, that Lieutenant Richardson's testimony should be excluded as fruit of poisonous tree. The committee devolved into legal argument. Procedural debates that Maya knew were camouflage for political calculation. They weren't deciding if evidence was valid. They were deciding if protecting one senator's nephew mattered more than protecting future female cadets. At 1100 hours, Senator Warren called for vote. All in favor of proceeding with criminal prosecution of Staff Sergeant Kyle Brennan, instructors. Torres, Flynn, and Wright, and administrative action against Colonel Hayes based on evidence presented. 10 hands raised, the sympathetic 4, 6 undecideds who'd been convinced by testimony. All opposed, 9 hands. Senator Brennan and 8 colleagues who valued political loyalty over institutional accountability. 10-9. Victory by single vote. Criminal prosecution approved. Academy reform mandated. Institutional failure acknowledged. But Warren wasn't finished. Motion to commend Lieutenant Richardson for exemplary service and recommend Navy and Marine Corps Medal for moral courage in face of institutional pressure. Brennan stood. I move to court-martial Lieutenant Richardson for unauthorized investigation, exceeding operational authority and conducting domestic surveillance without proper authorization. The room erupted. Media shouting questions. Protesters outside screaming. Senators arguing simultaneously. Warren gavelled for order. 2 motions on floor. We vote on both. First commendation and medal for Lieutenant Richardson. All in favor. 11 hands. The 10 who'd voted for prosecution plus 1 Republican senator who'd remained silent until now. All opposed, 8 hands. Brennan couldn't even get full support for retaliation. Motion passes 11-8. Lieutenant Richardson receives commendation and medal. Brennan's face went purple. Motion to court-martial. Dies without second, Warren interrupted. No other senator has seconded your motion. It fails procedurally. Maya exhaled. Court-martial threat eliminated. Career protected. Mission accomplished. Brennan stood abruptly left hearing room without speaking. His nephew would face prosecution. His political power had failed to protect family. His retaliation had been defeated by single vote and procedural technicality. Outside media surrounded Maya. Questions shouted from every direction. She ignored them, walked to where 7 witnesses waited. We won, Sophia said, tears streaming. We actually won. You won, Maya corrected. Your testimony, your courage, your refusal to stay silent. That's what won. Jessica hugged Maya. Thank you. For believing us. For fighting when we couldn't. For proving that standing up works. Standing up always works, Maya said. Sometimes it just takes longer than we expect. Costs more than we want to pay. Requires more courage than we think we have. But it works. Emma looked at her phone. It's everywhere. Every news outlet. Every social media platform. 7 women took down corruption. 7 testimonies changed military culture. 7 voices that refused to be silenced. Marcus added quietly, 7 voices plus 1 SEAL who taught us how to use them. Admiral Foster approached. Lieutenant Richardson, you have 30 days leave starting immediately. Take it. Recover. Process what you've been through. When you return, we have new assignment for you. What assignment? Teaching, at BUDS, training next generation of SEALs. Making sure they understand that strength is protecting people, not dominating them. That honor requires accountability. That being warrior means fighting for those who can't fight for themselves. Maya nodded. When do I start? Start by resting. You've earned it. But Maya knew she wouldn't rest. Couldn't rest. Because somewhere another cadet was being harassed. Another woman was filing complaint that would be dismissed. Another institution was protecting abusers over victims. And now Maya knew how to fight back, how to document, how to investigate, how to build cases that couldn't be dismissed. She'd spent 18 months proving women could be SEALs. She'd spend the rest of her career proving SEALs protected everyone, not just those who looked like them. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. The 30 days leave felt like exile. Maya returned to Virginia Beach to apartment she barely recognized, to civilian life that didn't fit anymore. She'd spent 18 months as SEAL, 6 months in combat, 3 weeks exposing corruption, and now 30 days of mandatory rest that felt like punishment for succeeding. Her phone never stopped. Interview requests from every major network. Book deals from publishers who wanted inspiring military memoir. speaking invitations from universities, corporations, women's groups, military reform organizations. Everyone wanted piece of the SEAL who took down corruption. The woman who proved standing up works the hero who saved 7 cadets from systematic abuse. Maya declined everything. Because she wasn't hero. She was operator who'd completed mission. Heroes got parades. Operators got next assignment. But the world didn't see it that way. Day 3 of leave protest erupted outside her apartment. 50 people holding signs. Half read "Thank you, Lieutenant Richardson." Half read "Court-martial the feminist SEAL." Police established perimeter. Media filmed everything. Maya stayed inside, curtains drawn, wondering how investigation that should have been classified became national referendum on women in combat. Morrison called that evening. Senator Brennan is appealing the committee vote, claims procedural violations, claims witness tampering, claims you coached testimony. I prepared witnesses to testify truthfully. That's not coaching. That's standard witness preparation. He's arguing you manipulated emotionally vulnerable young women into fabricating abuse claims to advance your career and political agenda. Maya's laugh came bitter. My political agenda? I'm SEAL. I have no political agenda except completing missions and protecting teammates. You're also a woman who exposed powerful men. That's political whether you intended it or not. That's threatening to people invested in status quo. What does appeal mean for prosecution? Delays it. Maybe kills it if Brennan gets enough votes to overturn committee decision. He needs 11 senators to reverse the vote. He's got 9 committed, working the 2 undecideds hard. What about the cadets? What about Sophia and the others? Protected under witness security until prosecution proceeds. But if appeal succeeds, protection ends. They return to academy or quit. Either way, they're vulnerable again. Maya's hands clenched. How long until appeal vote? 60 days. Brennan's using every procedural delay available, hoping media attention fades, hoping public forgets, hoping you make mistake he can exploit. I won't make mistakes. You won't have opportunity. DOD ordered you to maintain absolute silence. No interviews, no statements, no social media. Complete communication blackout until appeal resolves. They're silencing me while Brennan controls narrative. They're protecting prosecution by eliminating variables. Your variable they can't control. So they're removing you from equation. Maya understood the logic. Understood that her presence complicated political calculations. Understood that sometimes protecting mission meant accepting personal cost. But understanding didn't make silence easier. Day 7 video leaked online. Security footage from Sentinel Academy showing Brennan throwing Maya in mud. 40 million views in 6 hours. Comments split between "this is assault" and "this is appropriate military training." National conversation about where discipline ended and abuse began, about whether physical contact during training constituted harassment, about whether women who couldn't handle being thrown in mud belonged in military at all. Maya's phone exploded again, this time from Sophia. Did you leak the video? No, I don't control Academy security systems. Someone leaked it. Someone with access to classified evidence. Someone trying to help or hurt us, I can't tell which. Maya thought about who'd benefit from public seeing assault footage. Prosecutors building case against Brennan. Defense attorneys arguing Maya provoked attack. Media outlets driving engagement. Activists advancing causes. Everyone had motive. Nobody had her permission. How are you handling the attention? Sophia's voice shook. I can't leave witness housing. Media camps outside. My family's being harassed again. Someone posted my mother's workplace demanding she be fired for raising daughter who makes false accusations. This is never going to end, is it? It ends when Brennan runs out of appeals, when prosecution proceeds, when verdict renders this permanent instead of pending. When is that? 60 days. Maybe longer if he finds more delays. I can't do 60 more days of this. None of us can. Emma's having panic attacks. Lisa stopped eating. Jessica attempted suicide 2 days ago. Did you know that? Did anyone tell you that woman who survived 18 months of abuse tried to kill herself because Brennan's defense team published her therapy records online? Maya's heart stopped. Is Jessica okay? She's alive, hospitalized, under psychiatric hold. Her mother called me screaming that this investigation killed her daughter, that we should have stayed silent, that exposing abuse cost more than enduring it. That's not true. Jessica's crisis isn't caused by testifying. It's caused by re-traumatization from Brennan's retaliation. It's caused by institutional failure to protect witnesses. It's caused by political machinery that values senators' reputation over victims' survival. Tell that to her mother. Tell that to Emma, who can't sleep. Tell that to Lisa, who's losing weight because stress killed her appetite. Tell that to Marcus, whose father disowned him for testifying against military instructors. Sophia's voice broke. Tell that to me when I'm lying awake wondering if my testimony accomplished anything except making all our lives worse. Maya had no answer, because Sophia was right. The cost of standing up was real. The price of fighting back was measured in trauma relationships, mental health, peace of mind. Saying it's worth it felt hollow when witnesses were attempting suicide and families were being destroyed. I'm sorry, Sophia. I'm sorry this is harder than it should be. I'm sorry the system doesn't protect you the way it promised. I'm sorry my investigation created exposure that's re-traumatizing everyone. It's not your fault, but it's also not okay. And I needed someone to acknowledge that. Needed someone to stop saying, your courage changed everything, and start saying, this is destroying you and that's not acceptable. It's destroying you and that's not acceptable. Thank you. Sophia exhaled. What do we do now? You survive the next 60 days. You access mental health support. You lean on each other. You remember why you testified not to destroy Brennan, but to protect future cadets. That purpose doesn't change even when cost increases. What if appeal succeeds? What if Brennan overturns the committee vote and prosecution gets dismissed? Maya had considered this scenario, had calculated odds, had prepared contingency plans. Then we go public. We release everything, every document, every recording, every piece of evidence. We make it impossible for institutional silence to continue. That's career suicide for you. Releasing classified investigation materials, that's court-martial, dishonorable discharge, prison time. Some missions matter more than careers. You taught me that when you testified knowing it would destroy your privacy. When Jessica testified knowing it would expose her mental health struggles. When all 7 of you chose truth over safety. I can't ask you to sacrifice everything while I protect my career. Maya, you're 23. Your youngest female SEAL ever. You have 40 years of service ahead. Don't throw that away for us. I'm not throwing it away. I'm spending it on mission that matters, on proving that institutions can be held accountable, on demonstrating that one person's courage creates permission for everyone else. Sophia was quiet for a long moment. Hawk would be proud. Your instructor, the one who told you to show them. Hawk would tell me I'm being stubborn and stupid. Then he'd help me plan the operation anyway. I wish I'd met him. You did. You just don't recognize it. Every time you documented abuse despite fear, every time you testified despite cost, every time you survived another day when quitting seemed easier, that was Hawk's legacy working through you. That was his investment in me, multiplying through everyone I teach to stand up. The call ended. Maya sat in dark apartment calculating variables. 60 days until appeal vote. 60 days of witnesses suffering re-traumatization. 60 days of Brennan controlling narrative while she maintained silence. 60 days of hoping political system chose justice over protecting senators' power. Too many variables. Too much uncertainty. Too passive. SEALs don't wait for enemy to attack. SEALs seize initiative. SEALs create conditions for victory instead of hoping victory happens accidentally. Maya opened her laptop, began drafting document that would either save the prosecution or end her career. Comprehensive report detailing every procedural decision, every evidence authentication, every witness preparation session. Documentation proving investigation was legitimate testimony, was credible, evidence was sound. documentation that could be released publicly if appeal succeeded, making dismissal impossible without obvious political corruption. Insurance policy. Backup plan. The thing that makes institutional silence cost more than institutional accountability. She worked for 18 hours straight, created 400-page report with embedded audio-video financial records, witness statements, legal analysis. Everything organized for public consumption. Everything designed to make truth undeniable even to people invested in denying it. At 0300, she encrypted the file, uploaded copies to 7 secure locations, sent access codes to trusted journalists with instructions. If Senate appeal succeeds and prosecution is dismissed, publish everything. Make it impossible for them to bury truth. Then she violated direct orders and posted single tweet from anonymous account. They threw her in mud thinking it would break her. It didn't. Because mud doesn't break seals. It reveals who they've always been. Warriors protecting people who can't protect themselves. Watch what happens next. The tweet went viral. 10 million views in 12 hours. Media outlets debating its meaning. Was it threat, promise, warning? Nobody knew who posted it, but everyone understood its message. Maya Richardson wasn't staying silent, wasn't accepting defeat, wasn't allowing political machinery to crush witnesses who'd shown courage she'd asked them to demonstrate. Morrison called it 0800. Did you post that tweet? I have no idea what you're talking about, ma'am. Maya DOD is furious. They're investigating source. They're threatening to court-martial whoever violated communication blackout. Then they should investigate thoroughly, follow evidence, build comprehensive case. Same standards they'd apply to investigating corruption, right? Morrison laughed despite herself. You're impossible. You know that. I'm SEAL. Impossible is standard operating procedure. DOD wants you to report to Naval Special Warfare Command tomorrow. Admiral Foster wants personal meeting. This is serious. I understand, ma'am. The meeting happened at 0900 in Foster's office. The Admiral sat behind desk decorated with 30 years of commendations, looking at Maya with expression mixing frustration and admiration. Lieutenant Richardson, did you author anonymous tweet that's currently trending #1 nationally? Sir, I'm under communication blackout. I'm not authorized to make public statements. That wasn't my question. With respect, sir, I can neither confirm nor deny authorship of anonymous content without violating operational security principles you taught me. Foster's eyes narrowed. You're using SEAL training to avoid answering direct question from superior officer. I'm using SEAL training to complete mission you assigned. Mission was expose corruption and protect witnesses. Mission's not complete while witnesses are being re-traumatized and prosecution is threatened by political appeal. Your mission was investigation. Investigation is complete. Now you follow orders and maintain silence. Orders that protect prosecution or orders that protect political interests. Both. They're not mutually exclusive. They are when Senator Brennan controls narrative while we stay silent. When defense team publishes witness therapy records while we can't respond. When Jessica Martinez attempts suicide while we maintain professional neutrality. Sir, with respect, silence isn't protecting prosecution. It's enabling defense. Foster stood, walked to window overlooking Coronado Beach, where Bud's candidates trained in surf zone that separated warriors from everyone else. You know what makes good SEAL, Lieutenant? Following orders, completing missions, protecting teammates. Wrong. What makes good SEAL is knowing when to follow orders and when orders conflict with mission. Knowing when institutional protection requires institutional challenge. Knowing when staying silent enables corruption and speaking up risks everything, but accomplishes mission. He turned back. Like posting anonymous tweet that violates direct orders but refocuses national attention on witness protection. Maya's expression didn't change. Sir, I don't know what you're referring to. Of course you don't. Same way you didn't conduct unauthorized investigation. Didn't exceed operational authority. Didn't build criminal case that forced political accountability. Foster sat back down. Here's what's going to happen. DOD investigation into tweet authorship will find insufficient evidence to identify source. You will continue communication blackout officially while someone mysteriously continues posting anonymous content that supports prosecution. I will neither confirm nor deny knowledge of these posts. Understood. Sir, are you authorizing? I'm authorizing nothing. I'm also not preventing anything I can't prove is happening. There's difference. Maya almost smiled. Understood, sir. One more thing. Your new assignment at Bud S starts in 60 days. But between now and then, you're reassigned to NCIS Witness Protection Coordination. You'll work with Different Foster Agent Rebecca Foster, no relation, managing security for our 7 witnesses. You'll ensure their mental health support is adequate. You'll coordinate testimony preparation for trial. You'll protect them the way you protected them during investigation. That's not typical SEAL assignment. You're not typical SEAL. Your operator who understands institutional warfare requires protecting people, not just prosecuting crimes. Your warrior who knows that mission success is measured by witnesses surviving testimony, not just defendants being convicted. When do I start? You started the moment you called Jessica Martinez and talked her into living instead of dying. You started when you told Sophia that destroying her life wasn't acceptable. You started when you recognized that investigation created obligations beyond evidence collection. Foster's voice softened. Hawk trained you well. He understood that being SEAL means carrying everyone who can't carry themselves. Now you're carrying 7 witnesses through hell you helped create. That's leadership. That's what separates operators from heroes. Operators complete missions. Heroes ensure missions don't destroy people who make them possible. Maya reported to NCIS Witness Coordination at 1300 hours. Agent Rebecca Foster, 52, former Marine, 20 years protecting witnesses in cases ranging from mob prosecutions to military corruption, met her with expressions suggesting low tolerance for SEALs who thought protecting witnesses was simple. Lieutenant Richardson, I've read your file. Impressive combat record, questionable investigative methods, 0 experience with witness trauma management. I'm here to learn, ma'am. You're here because 7 witnesses are falling apart and you're only person they trust. That doesn't mean you're qualified. It means you're necessary. There's difference. Rebecca pulled up files on screen. Jessica Martinez. 3rd suicide attempt in 18 months. Currently hospitalized. Diagnosed with PTSD, major depression, anxiety disorder. Therapist says your investigation re-traumatized her. Says she was healing until testimony forced her to relive abuse publicly. Maya's chest tightened. I didn't force anyone to testify. No, you just created opportunity for testimony, provided security framework built case that required their participation. You created conditions where saying no felt like betrayal. Where staying silent meant abandoning other victims. Where self-protection seemed like cowardice. Rebecca's voice hardened. You gave them courage to fight. You didn't prepare them for cost of fighting. How do I fix that? You can't. You can only manage ongoing damage. Support their recovery. Ensure protection actually protects instead of exposing them to more trauma. Rebecca showed Maya the housing where witnesses stayed. Secure facility, armed guards, 24-hour monitoring. Prison disguised as protection because safety required isolation that felt like punishment. Sophia sat in common room staring at wall. Emma paced nearby. Lisa lay on couch awake, but not present. Marcus stood at window looking out at world he couldn't access without media harassment. They're breaking, Rebecca said quietly. Isolation breaks everyone eventually, but we can't release them without security risk. Can't let them resume normal lives while Brennan's team hunts for ammunition. So they stay here, safe, isolated, slowly losing themselves to protection that feels like imprisonment. Maya entered common room. 4 cadets looked up with expressions mixing relief and resentment. Relief that someone understood. Resentment that understanding didn't change circumstances. I'm assigned to witness coordination, Maya said. I'm here to help. Help? Emma's laugh came sharp. Help by getting us out of here. Help by ending the appeal so we can testify and finish this. Help by making Brennan's team stop publishing our private information online. I can't do any of those things. I can coordinate better mental health support. I can create communication protocols so you're not isolated from families. I can push for expedited trial timeline. I can make protection less like imprisonment. Sophia stood. We don't need better prison. We need freedom. We need this to be over. We need our lives back. I know. But 60 days until appeal vote. If we push for early trial before appeal resolves, prosecution happens, while Brennan still has political power to influence outcome. Strategic waiting protects case even when it hurts witnesses. Strategic waiting is killing us, Lisa said, speaking for first time in 3 days, according to Rebecca's notes. Strategic waiting means 60 more days of this. 60 more days watching our families get harassed. 60 more days of Brennan controlling narrative while we hide. That's not protection. That's abandonment. Marcus turned from window. She's right. We testified because you said standing up works, said truth matters, said documentation defeats lies. But Brennan's still free. His team's still attacking us, and we're locked in facility while he lives normal life. Where's the justice in that? Maya had no good answer. Because they were right. Justice delayed while appeals processed, while political machinery ground forward, while witnesses suffered, wasn't justice. It was institutional procedure prioritizing orderly process over human cost. What if we don't wait? Emma said suddenly. What if we go public now, release our testimony, hold press conference, make appeal vote irrelevant because public pressure forces accountability? Rebecca stepped forward. That violates witness protection protocols, exposes you to retaliation, compromises prosecution by appearing to prejudice potential jury. There is no jury. This is Senate committee vote, political process, not legal trial. We can't prejudice jury that doesn't exist. Maya recognized the logic, recognized the desperation that made violation seem like solution, recognized herself in their frustration with procedures that protected institutions over people. If you go public, Brennan's team will intensify attacks, will dig deeper into your histories, will weaponize everything you've ever said or done. Social media posts from when you were 15, relationships that ended badly, every mistake documented and publicized. It gets worse before it gets better. It can't get worse than this, Sophia said. Jessica tried to kill herself. Lisa hasn't eaten in 4 days. Emma's having panic attacks that require medical intervention. Marcus's family disowned him. How does it get worse than that? It gets worse when Brennan's team proves you violated protection protocols. When they argue that witnesses who can't follow security procedures can't be trusted to testify truthfully. When they use your press conference as evidence that testimony was coordinated political attack rather than independent witness accounts. The room fell silent. Maya's tactical brain calculated odds. Going public might force appeal vote, might create political pressure that ended delays, might also destroy prosecution by giving defense team procedural violations to exploit. Give me 48 hours, Maya said. Let me try something different. Something that applies pressure without violating protocols. What? Sophia asked. Something unauthorized. Something probably illegal. Something I can't tell you about because if it fails, you need deniability. Rebecca pulled Maya aside. Whatever you're planning, don't. You're already on thin ice with DOD. Another violation could end your career. My career matters less than their survival. They testified because I asked them to, because I promised protection would protect. That promise is being broken. I'm fixing it. How? By making institutional silence cost more than institutional action. By making appeal vote politically untenable. By ensuring that protecting Brennan requires defending indefensible actions documented in evidence nobody's seen yet. What evidence? Evidence I've been compiling. Documentation of Brennan's team tactics. Proof of witness intimidation. Evidence of political coordination between Senator's office and defense team. Evidence of illegal leaks of sealed therapy records. Everything that shows Brennan's using political power to obstruct justice. Rebecca's eyes widened. You've been investigating the defense team while on communication blackout, while assigned to witness protection. I've been documenting what I observe. Documenting isn't investigating. It's just paying attention and writing things down. That's the worst excuse I've ever heard. It's also the excuse that lets you maintain deniability when this goes public in 48 hours. Maya returned to her apartment, opened her laptop, compiled second report. This one focused on Brennan's retaliation, Jessica's leaked therapy records, Emma's family being harassed, social media campaigns targeting witnesses, coordination between Senator's office and defense attorneys that might constitute obstruction of justice. She traced IP addresses of accounts posting witness harassment, found connections to political consulting firm employed by Senator Brennan, found payment records showing money flowing from Senator's campaign to firms specializing in opposition research and reputation destruction, found evidence that Brennan wasn't just defending his nephew. He was conducting coordinated attack on witnesses using political resources and taxpayer money. Maya compiled everything into a comprehensive report titled The Cost of Truth: How Political Power Weaponizes Justice Against Witnesses. 700 pages, embedded evidence, legal analysis, documentation showing systematic obstruction. She sent it to ProPublica with simple message: publish in 48 hours. Show people what happens when witnesses challenge power. Then she sent copy to Admiral Foster with different message: this is what we're protecting witnesses from. This is why they're breaking. This is what institutional silence enables. Thought you should know before it goes public. Foster called within 10 minutes. Maya, you can't release this. It compromises ongoing appeal. It exposes classified investigation tactics. It ends your career and possibly lands you in prison for unauthorized disclosure. Then stop me. Court-martial me before publication deadline. Arrest me for violating orders. Do whatever you need to do to prevent publication. You know I can't do that. Court-martial takes weeks. Arrest requires charges. By the time we stop you legally, it's already public. Then I guess you have choice. Let it publish and deal with fallout. Or convince Senator Brennan to withdraw appeal and proceed with prosecution before publication exposes his obstruction. That's blackmail. That's negotiation. I'm offering him clean exit, withdraw appeal, face prosecution for original crimes, avoid additional obstruction charges, and political scandal from witness intimidation documentation. He'll never accept. He's too arrogant, too convinced he's untouchable. Then he learns he's wrong. And 7 witnesses learn that standing up works even when institutions fail to protect them. Foster was silent for a long moment. You're willing to sacrifice your career for this. Hawk sacrificed his life covering Team Extract in Afghanistan. I can sacrifice career protecting witnesses who trusted me. It's not comparable. Hawk would tell you you're being stubborn and stupid. Hawk would help me plan better operation, but he's dead, so I'm planning alone and hoping you'll help instead of stopping me. What do you need? 48 hours. Don't arrest me, don't court-martial me, don't prevent publication. Just give me 48 hours to see if threat of exposure forces Brennan to withdraw. And if he doesn't withdraw, then publication happens. Obstruction evidence goes public. Political scandal erupts. Appeal vote happens under public scrutiny that makes protecting Brennan politically untenable. Either way, witnesses get justice. Either way, you get court-martialed. Probably. But witnesses survive. Prosecution proceeds. Institutional accountability happens. That's worth court-martial. Foster exhaled. 48 hours. But Maya, when this is over, when prosecution succeeds or fails, when political fallout settles, you need to understand something. What you're doing isn't just protecting witnesses. It's declaring war on institutional power. Wars have casualties. Make sure you're prepared for that. I've been in combat, sir. I know about casualties. Combat casualties die quickly. Political casualties die slowly over years of investigations, hearings, destroyed reputations, ruined careers. Make sure you're prepared for slow death. The call ended. Maya looked at publication timer. 47 hours, 53 minutes until ProPublica released evidence of Brennan's obstruction. 47 hours until her career ended or Senator withdrew appeal. She opened Twitter. Posted from anonymous account. In 48 hours, you'll learn what happens when political power tries to silence military witnesses. You'll learn the cost of standing up. You'll learn why institutional protection sometimes requires institutional challenge. Watch carefully. This is how change happens. 70 million views in 18 hours. Media outlets speculating about upcoming revelation. Political analysts predicting scandal. Senator Brennan's office issuing statements dismissing anonymous threats as desperation tactics from discredited investigation. Maya watched countdown timer. 40 hours. 30. 20. At 12 hours remaining, her phone rang. Unknown number. Lieutenant Richardson, this is Senator Brennan. We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you, Senator. You're about to release report that destroys my career. I think we have plenty to discuss. Your career destroyed itself when you obstructed justice to protect your nephew. I'm just documenting what you did. What do you want? Money, political appointment, future favor. Everyone has a price. I want you to withdraw your appeal. I want prosecution to proceed. I want 7 witnesses to get justice you've been blocking for 60 days. And if I do that, you kill the publication. If you withdraw, within 6 hours, publication gets delayed pending trial outcome. If trial results in conviction, publication gets killed entirely. But you have to withdraw now. You have to let justice proceed. You're blackmailing a United States senator. I'm negotiating with political operator who weaponized power against military witnesses. Call it whatever helps you sleep at night. Brennan was silent for 30 seconds. You've made powerful enemy, Lieutenant. Careers end when people make enemies of senators. My career ends honorably protecting witnesses who showed courage. You'll never understand. Your career ends dishonorably obstructing justice to protect family. We're not the same. I'll withdraw the appeal. But this isn't over. I'll ensure you never advance past lieutenant. I'll ensure every assignment you get is punishment detail. I'll ensure your SEAL career is short and miserable. As long as it includes protecting people who can't protect themselves, I can live with that. The call disconnected. 2 hours later, Senator Brennan announced appeal withdrawal, cited desire to let judicial process proceed without political interference, claimed he'd always supported accountability and merely wanted to ensure procedural correctness. Media bought the spin, called it statesmanlike decision, praised his commitment to institutional integrity. Maya knew better. Knew he'd folded because publication would have exposed obstruction, witness tampering, illegal use of campaign funds for harassment. Knew he'd chosen smaller defeat over complete destruction. Knew that sometimes victory looks like enemy claiming credit for decisions they were forced to make. Trial proceeded 30 days later. Military court-martial for Brennan and 3 co-defendants. 7 witnesses testified again, this time in formal legal proceeding with rules of evidence and cross-examination. Defense attorneys tried every tactic, challenged witness credibility, questioned investigation methods, suggested testimony was coordinated, implied Maya had manipulated vulnerable women for career advancement. But evidence was overwhelming. 473 pages of documentation, audio recordings, video footage, financial records proving fraud, medical examinations showing injuries, psychological evaluations demonstrating trauma. Verdict came after 4 days of deliberation, guilty on all counts. Brennan sentenced to 8 years military prison. Torres Flynn Wright sentenced to 4 to 6 years each. Colonel Hayes dishonorably discharged, stripped of pension, facing civilian charges. 7 witnesses sat in courtroom watching justice finally materialize. Sophia cried. Emma held Lisa's hand. Marcus sat with family who'd reconciled after seeing his testimony vindicated. Jessica attended via video link from psychiatric facility, stable enough to witness, but not yet strong enough to appear in person. Maya sat in back row, dress uniform, perfect expression controlled. She'd testified 3 times during trial, been cross-examined for 8 hours, had every decision questioned, every method challenged, every motive impugned, but she'd never wavered, never contradicted herself, never lost composure, because SEALs don't break under pressure, they function through it. After verdict, reporters surrounded Maya outside courthouse. Questions shouted simultaneously about her career, her methods, her future. She gave single statement. 7 witnesses showed courage that changed military culture. They deserve credit. They deserve honor. They deserve to resume their lives knowing their sacrifice mattered. I'm just operator who completed mission. They're heroes who survived. Then she walked away. Ignored follow-up questions. Declined interview requests. Disappeared into crowd before media could pursue. That evening, Admiral Foster called. "Congratulations, Lieutenant. Successful prosecution. 4 convictions. Institutional reform mandated across all military training academies. You accomplished mission." Witnesses accomplished mission. I just documented their courage. Navy and Marine Corps medal ceremony is scheduled for next week. You'll receive commendation for moral courage in presence of institutional pressure. There will be media coverage, senior leadership attendance, recognition you've earned. I'd rather skip ceremony and report to Bud's assignment. This isn't optional. This is Navy showing that challenging corruption is honored, not punished. This is institutional message that standing up works. The ceremony happened at Naval Special Warfare Command. 200 attendees. Sophia M. Elisa Marcus present in dress uniforms. Jessica participated via video, still recovering but stable. Foster pinned medal on Maya's uniform while cameras recorded. Read citation describing her actions. For extraordinary heroism and moral courage in conducting investigation that exposed institutional corruption, protected military personnel from systematic abuse, and demonstrated that commitment to justice transcends personal risk. Then, unexpected moment. Foster called Sophia, Emma, Lisa, Marcus, Jessica, Jennifer, Rachel to stage. Presented each with Navy Achievement Medal for courage and testimony that reformed military culture and protected future service members from abuse. 7 witnesses standing together, 7 medals, 7 young people who'd survived hell and emerged as examples of institutional change through individual courage. Morrison approached Maya after ceremony. "You did good work, Lieutenant. Messy, unauthorized, procedurally questionable, but good work." "Thank you, ma'am. Your new assignment at Bud's starts Monday. You'll teach next generation of SEALs. You'll ensure they understand that being warrior means protecting people, not dominating them. That honor requires accountability. That institutional loyalty means challenging institutional failures. I'll do my best." "Your best just reformed military culture. I think you'll do fine." Maya reported to Bud's on Monday morning. Stood on Coronado Beach where Hawk had trained her, where she'd survived Hell Week, where she'd proven women belonged in places men said they couldn't go. New class of candidates assembled. 52 students, 8 women. More female candidates than any previous class. Media called it Richardson effect surge in female applications after Maya's investigation proved institutional barriers could be challenged and overcome. Maya looked at 8 women shivering in surf zone. Saw herself at their age. Saw every woman told she didn't belong, wasn't strong enough, couldn't hack it. She walked to water's edge, spoke loud enough for entire class to hear. "They'll tell you this is impossible. They'll tell you women don't belong here. They'll tell you to quit before you embarrass yourself. They'll throw you in mud thinking it will break you." She paused, met eyes of each female candidate. "It won't break you, because mud doesn't break warriors. It reveals them. It shows who you've always been underneath fears and doubts, and every voice that said you couldn't. Warriors aren't made in clean spaces. They're forged in difficulty, tested in hardship, refined through suffering that reveals character." She looked at entire class now, male and female candidates together. "Some of you will quit. That's reality. Not everyone makes it. But those who do, those who push through pain and cold and exhaustion and voices screaming to stop, you'll become something more than you were. You'll become protectors. Warriors who understand that strength is lifting others, not crushing them. That honor requires accountability. That being SEAL means fighting for people who can't fight for themselves." Maya walked along formation, stopped in front of smallest female candidate, 5'2", maybe 115 pounds. Looking terrified and determined simultaneously. "What's your name, candidate?" "Sarah Chen, ma'am." Sophia Chen's younger sister. Maya's breath caught. Sophia's sister, standing in surf zone, preparing for Hell Week, following path her sister's courage had cleared. "Your sister's a hero, Chen. She stood up to institutional corruption. She testified when testifying cost everything. She proved that courage isn't absence of fear, it's functioning through fear to protect others. You come from warrior lineage. Show them what that means. Yes, ma'am. I will, ma'am. Maya stepped back. Addressed entire class one final time. They threw me in mud 3 years ago. Thought it would break me. Thought contractors didn't matter. Thought women didn't belong. They learned different. Learned that Navy SEALs don't need uniforms to be warriors. That mud doesn't defeat people trained in worse. That underestimating quiet competence is a mistake that costs everything. She paused. Let words sink in. I stood up. Not because I was fearless, because standing up mattered more than fear. Because protecting others mattered more than protecting myself. Because some missions are worth any cost. Now you're here, on same beach, facing same challenges, making same choice every SEAL makes. Will you quit when it's hard, or will you show them who you've always been? The class stood silent. Waves breaking. Wind carrying salt spray. Coronado Beach where warriors were forged. Maya gave them final instruction. 2 words. Same 2 words Hawk gave her. 2 words that built her career and saved 7 witnesses and reformed military culture. Show them. Then she walked away, leaving new class to their training, leaving future SEALs to discover their own strength, leaving legacy that would multiply through every person she taught, every witness she protected, every cadet who learned that standing up works. Behind her, instructors began Hell Week. Candidates entered Surf Zone. Training commenced. Ahead of her office where she'd teach institutional accountability, witness protection, moral courage under pressure. Where she'd ensure next generation understood that being warrior meant more than combat proficiency. Meant protecting people. Meant challenging institutional failures. Meant standing up when standing up cost everything. Maya looked back one final time. Saw Sarah Chen diving into waves. Saw 7 other female candidates following. Saw future she'd helped create through investigation that cost her peace. Threatened her career, required every skill Hawk taught her. Worth it. Every sacrifice. Every risk. Every consequence. Because they threw her in mud, thinking it would break her. It didn't. It revealed who she'd always been. A Navy SEAL. A protector. A warrior who understood that real strength is lifting others when institutions crush them. They thought mud would defeat her. Instead, it taught her that warriors don't stay buried. They rise. And they make sure everyone else can rise too.